Feel it.
Get up on out the bed and start to move your balls. Wake up with word and Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with Word. And we got a whole lot going on today, man. Just a crazy day in terms of what's happening politically and otherwise. But Kawesa, how you doing?
Doing okay. I'm here. It wasn't too bad getting in. So, yeah, I'm good. It's just cold. That's it.
Yeah. So I'm using a new computer this morning. I was able to get a new Mac, and it's interesting, man. I'm looking at the light and everything else. It's got this little bar on it and, trying to get used to all of that. But, we're gonna see how that goes.
Yeah.
I see some stuff that I'm not able to bring up this break, so we're gonna muddle through that. But, we've lost another giant in the black community, Vernon Jordan, an iconic civil rights leader, presidential advisor, and lawyer who held leadership roles at the United Negro College Fund and the National Urban League, and who worked as a Georgia field secretary for the NAACP and director of the Voter Education Project at the height of the civil rights movement. He's died at 85. Jordan's daughter, Vicki Jordan Amons, confirmed his passing with a statement to Andrew Ross Sorkin of the New York Times yesterday. Vernon E. Jordan Jr. passed away peacefully last evening, surrounded by loved ones, she said. We appreciate all of the outpouring of love and affection. Derek Johnson, president of the NAACP, which in 2001 awarded Jordan its highest honor, said in a statement, "Today, the world lost an influential figure in the fight for civil rights in American politics, Vernon Jordan, an icon to the world and a lifelong friend to the NAACP. His contribution to moving our society toward justice is unparalleled." And then he said what I believe should be Mr. Jordan's legacy. His exemplary life will shine as a guiding light for all that seek truth and justice for all people. Rest in peace, Vernon Jordan. Your leadership will never be forgotten. We got a hot show for you today on Wake Up with Word. Mississippi State Representative Ronnie Crudup on the water crisis in Jackson. Temple Professor Lynn Washington on the possibility of the Supreme Court gutting the Voting Rights Act. Councilman Isaiah Thomas on the police using car stops to get around rules on stop and frisk. Plus Percy and Christy Custis from the James Schuler Memorial Boxing Gym on a community project happening this weekend. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065, a toll-free 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at onWURD. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number one, for the last decade, the Philadelphia Police Department has been under a monitoring agreement because of a federal lawsuit, Bailey versus Philadelphia, that alleged police were illegally targeting black residents for stops and searches without proper justification. And since last year, City Council has been negotiating with the department on proposed legislation that would ban police stops for vehicle code violations, instead mailing out citations. That's why the police forum advocates a leaked February memo attributed to 3rd Police District Captain Brian Hartzell was very troubling. In the memo, Hartzell directed officers in his South Philadelphia district to conduct more car stops and issue more code violation notices, and said that intensified enforcement was requested, quote, in return for the fairness I've been given in terms of granting vacation. He added that he was not asking for anything crazy, just at least one park and walk foot patrol per tour, right? And to be honest, up to that point, it's not anything crazy. But the concerning thing is this. He said also motor vehicle codes give officers probable cause for a stop, which avoids the issues we have with the Bailey Agreement. Wait, what? Huh? What you say? Yeah, they are trying to get around this court-ordered monitoring of stop and frisk of pedestrians by stopping cars instead. And he said it explicitly. Motor vehicle codes give officers probable cause for a stop, which avoids the issues we have with the Bailey Agreement. So, in other words, you're going to stop people in their cars instead of stopping them walking, and you're going to harass them that way instead. What? Huh? And here's the thing, right? Vehicle stops in Philadelphia are already disproportionately black, right? So you stopping black people more than you stopping white people, searching black people more than you searching white people, even though you are more likely to find weapons, paraphernalia, all of that stuff on white people than you are on us. And that's probably because they know you ain't gonna stop them because they white. You know what I mean? So it's like, we can't win, man. We can't win. City Councilman Isaiah Thomas, who introduced the legislation banning certain vehicle stops, said he'd seen the memo and found it outrageous. If it's true, it's extremely upsetting and disappointing that this is where we are currently in the city of Philadelphia, Thomas said. He said overuse of car stops raises civil rights concerns and poses little tactical advantage in Philadelphia's crisis on gun violence. An analysis by the Defender Association of Philadelphia found that only 0.17% of vehicle stops resulted in the recovery of a weapon. About 75% of those stopped, searched, or frisked by Philadelphia police were black. That's what the Defender Association reported last year. About 47-48% of the people in Philadelphia are black. 75% of those stopped and frisked and searched are black. Kawesa, what do you think?
So essentially that means that the same person was probably stopped multiple times. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm gathering. I'm not so great at math, but that's what I'm gathering. Like, y'all, like Philly, y'all can't help yourself. Not even just Philly, cops in general. Like, y'all really could not help yourselves to being racist and implementing these racist policies and these racist tactics. Like, it is ridiculous to me. Mayor Kenny, you said that you were gonna, end stop and frisk or illegal stop and frisk. And yet here we are.
Yep.
Here we are. I need for you to start keeping your promises to the black community. I really, really do. Because we should not be having to deal with this time and time again. We should not have to keep trying to tell you that Black Lives Matter. We shouldn't have to keep trying to tell you that we are, having to deal with racism at such a high level. Like, this should not be the case. What are you in the position for? If you can't even make sure that you are keeping your promises to the black community who voted you in.
Yeah, and it does come down to that. And we have to hold people accountable. You said you was going to end it. Now y'all trying to get around it, and we still end up on the short end of the stick. Which brings me to story number 2. Fresh off a weather disaster that knocked out the power grid, killed dozens of people, and left Texans with electric bills as high as $16,000. Texas is at it again. Governor Greg Abbott announced yesterday he's lifting the mask mandate and nearly every other COVID restriction in Texas, even as health officials warn not to do so. Abbott made the announcement during a Lubbock Chamber of Commerce event where he issued an executive order rescinding most of his earlier executive orders, like the mask mandate. Abbott said businesses of any type will be allowed to open 100% beginning March 10th. Too many Texans have been sidelined from employment opportunities. Too many small business owners have struggled to pay their bills. This must end. It is now time to open Texas 100%, he said. And by the way, y'all ain't got to wear no mask. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves also announced Tuesday the end of all county mask mandates and that businesses can reopen at 100% capacity. The new orders will go into effect Wednesday, Tate said. Our hospitalizations and case numbers have plummeted, and the vaccine is being rapidly distributed. It is time, Reeves said Tuesday. Abbott's announcement comes as COVID-19 cases continue to drop across the country. However, health experts say relaxing restrictions now could lead to another surge, especially with the variants spreading. In the last year, Texans have mastered the daily habits to avoid getting COVID, Abbott said. As of Monday, less than 78% of Texans who've been fully vaccinated have been fully vaccinated. That's according to Johns Hopkins. And so ignorance prevails in Texas, in Mississippi. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. I'm really not. My dad lives in Texas. I have family in Texas. And I texted. I was like, listen, y'all better not be going out here without your masks.
I know
Y'all
that's
better
right.
y'all better be making sure that you're still washing your hands. Don't hug people. Socially distance yourself. Like, no, because at the end of all this, I need to make sure that my family is coming out of this okay. I don't care what they say. They don't care not a lick
Nope.
about folks. They
Mm-mm.
really don't, and especially black folks. So no, I'm gonna need for all my people who are listening from Texas. If you have family in Texas, call them up and say don't listen to that man. He don't got your
Don't.
best interest at heart. He really
Mm-mm.
doesn't.
No. And that's why he announced it at the Chamber of Commerce meeting. See, there's a connection there, and I don't want y'all to miss that. All he cares about is the business owners, right? And we should care about our business owners. I know we care about ours here, but the bottom line is, no, you wear your mask, you wash your hands, you keep your distance, and you don't have a whole bunch of people in a room with no ventilation. Like, have you heard of the variants? Like that COVID-19 is adapting, that it's developing new versions to get around all of the stuff that we're trying to do. No, you got to keep on your mask. You got to wash your hands. You got to stay away from these people, and especially the people that have not been wearing masks from the beginning. You know who I'm talking about. It brings me to story number 3. The tale of Mike Tyson's life is riveting, and that's why Hulu's exploiting it for their own gain. Abandoned by his father, Tyson and his 2 siblings were raised by a single mother who moved the family to a crime-ridden Brooklyn neighborhood. Tyson was picked on, but he learned how to fight, joined a gang, and was arrested repeatedly before he was sent to the reform school that eventually led him to trainer Cus D'Amato. He told Tyson he could become heavyweight champion of the world. By age 20, Tyson did just that. If you stop right there, Tyson's story is the kind of rags to riches tale that inspires and entertains. But Tyson's story is more complicated than that, and it's his story, so if anybody should be paid for it, it's him. Hulu don't see it that way. The network is launching a new drama series based on Tyson's life, and Tyson won't be consulted or paid. Tyson called the series tone-deaf cultural misappropriation, and another example of Hollywood's racism. I think Tyson is right. Just look at the Golden Globes, an award show that's run by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, which hasn't had a black member in 20 years. Look back at black actors like Lincoln Perry, who played caricatures like Stepin Fetchit. And when black actors were finally recognized for excellence, their Oscar wins were tied to black servanthood, like when Hattie McDaniel won an Academy Award for playing a maid, and Octavia Spencer was nominated for playing a maid, and Viola Davis was nominated for playing a maid. Tyson, who was accused of abusing his first wife and later served 3 years after a rape conviction, has serious flaws. But he turned his life around, and he's been married and stable for the last 11 years. He's been in a couple of movies and done a one-man show, but that's the boring part. Hollywood has always profited from showing the worst in black men. If they do that to Mike Tyson, the least they can do is pay the man. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are in these various things we are talking about on this morning show, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are in these various things we're talking about on this morning show. Do you have people in Texas? You better call them up, right, and tell them, keep your mask on, because you are dealing with people who don't care about the health and welfare of the people in that state. Imagine, you live in a state where they just had the power off, right? Because the electric grid has been privatized by these people who are telling you, oh, don't worry about coronavirus. It ain't going to kill you now. Like what? The same people who allowed dozens of people to die in that state, who left the state unprepared for whatever was going to happen if it actually got cold, who were leaving the state. Ted Cruz hopping on a plane going to Cancun. I can't make it up. I wish I could make this up. I can't. These are the people. These are the same people in leadership saying our business matters more than you. Right? Going to the Chamber of Commerce and saying, don't worry about these people. We're going to let y'all open up completely. You ain't got to have no ventilation. You ain't got to open up the window. You ain't got to do none of that. We wasn't prepared for the electric grid thing, so we definitely ain't going to be prepared for this. Just open up, act like everything's okay, act like ain't nobody dying, and, you know, don't wear no mask. Don't do any of that. It's going to be all right. Texas and Mississippi. Meanwhile, Biden's on TV like, look, man, this is not the time to let our guard down. Let's get to the point where we can actually do this so we can all do it and do it right. There's a reason why people have died disproportionately in America from COVID. It's because we had leadership that did not care. You had Trump telling people, mocking people for wearing masks. Meanwhile, he's secretly getting a vaccine for himself. They got the vaccine in January. Him and his wife in the White House. Like, they got treatments that nobody else had access to when they got it. These people don't care about you. And so, you know, if you're in Texas, Kawasi, absolutely right. Do not, do not listen to these people. Black people, brown people in Texas, do not listen to these people. They have shown time and time again, they don't care nothing about you. Do not let your guard down, and take off your mask, stop washing your hands, act like it's not real. Let's just act like it's not real, and we're going to be okay. No. This is not the time for that. So I want to talk about that, but also want to talk about what's going on with the whole Mike Tyson thing, because that bothers me a lot. Because imagine somebody just saying, I'm going to make a movie about you. I'm going to take all the worst parts of your life. I'm going to take all the worst moments out. I'm going to magnify them, dramatize them, never talk to you about it, and never pay you. Like, that's what they're doing. And because he's a public figure, the rules are a little bit different. I wrote about it in the Inquirer today. You can check it out there. We'll make sure we get a version of it onto our website at wordradio.com as well. But, you know, because he's a public figure, the rules are a little bit different. They're a little bit more relaxed. His story is in the public domain. Everybody knows, you know. But why take it, dramatize it, magnify it, and then not pay him? Like, imagine if somebody did that to you. You know what I mean? And here's the thing that makes it worse, the racism in it. The fact that they have taken stories of black people and tried to make us, you know, portray us as evil over and over and over again. I talked to a former entertainment attorney yesterday named James Elam, and James said something interesting. He said, you know, one of the first popular movies was about evil black men. It's called Birth of a Nation, right? Where they portrayed all black men as rapists who were out for these white women, right? And the Klan had to come to the rescue. Like, it was a propaganda film for the Klan, but what it was that same story about black people being evil and being inferior and having to be held down and having to be killed, because if we don't kill them, then they're going to take our women and they're going to take our property and they're going to run rampant, and it's like, what are you talking about? You know, and so that's what I see in this series about Mike Tyson, where they are just not going to pay him, because it's not just about him. They could do that to anybody. Take the worst parts of your life. Now, just imagine, you know what those things are, those things that you don't want other people to necessarily focus on about you, and they take it and blow it up and never pay you. We're going to talk about it on the other side of the break. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
What's up, everyone? I know you know the word, no, not the station, but this word, J-O-B that is, and our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
Undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
Now, a traffic update
On WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report is sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need. Getting jammed southbound 95 through the construction, heavy Cotman, right down through Bridge. Through that construction, also an accident there right near Bridge. So I'll watch for crews there this morning. Heavy ride early on southbound 95. Then once you pass Betsy Ross, you're busy right down through Girard Avenue. Northbound side looking good. Westbound buying delays from 8th Street out through Broad, again Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Eastbound a little slow off the Schuylkill Expressway through the Ben Franklin Bridge exit. Schuylkill eastbound Boulevard through Girard is slow. Westbound not too bad. PA Turnpike, Bluebird 476 looking good. Southbound Boulevard slow from 9th Street down to Roberts Avenue through construction. Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance. Liberty Mutual, customize your insurance so you only pay for what you need. Customize and save with Liberty Mutual Insurance. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a word weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Clear skies this morning, bright sunshine through the day, and a nice warm-up to 56 degrees this afternoon. A bit chillier and breezier for Thursday, with partly sunny skies. Will warm from 34 to 46 in the afternoon. Then sunshine will be bright on Friday, just a bit chillier and still breezy, with a high of 41. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio
96.1 FM.
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. We are, of course, taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let's go to the phone lines, talk to Jones on line 2. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Word listener. How you feel?
Good. How are you?
Fine. I just want to say that I will not buy anything or do anything with Lulu because of Mike Tyson, what they're doing to him. And just one question for you, Mr. Jones. I'd like you to let you know, think about it, that Donald Trump's taxes will be too moldy for them to read, and he'll be free again. Have a great year.
To what for him to read?
His taxes will be molded. They'd be too molded.
All that stuff is on electronic files, man. I'm sure they got backups. But I hear you, man. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. And, of course, we're going to talk a little bit later with Lynn Washington about what's going on with voting rights. Speaking of Donald Trump, every time I think about him, I think about voter suppression, man. And, you know, the open, attempt to suppress black votes. And the Supreme Court looking now at a case coming out of Arizona, and you know, you got 6 conservatives on the court, man, and doesn't look good. So we're going to talk with Lynn Washington about that a little bit later on. But right now, we want to talk to you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD, and let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So we do have a few comments this morning, so I'm just pulling them up. I actually took quite a few screenshots here. Okay, let's let's go here. Cheryl Brown, thank you so much for tuning in. We definitely appreciate it. Nadine Lester, thanks so much for checking us out, and Atia Hicks as well. Shirley Beckett is checking us out also, so good morning to you. And also Raphael Suleiman, we really appreciate you checking in. And also shout out to Nikki Carter. Roshana Barnes, thank you. Gail Robinson, she's saying good morning. I'm also saying have a wonderfully blessed day. Says another comment. Ron Brown says 75% of the stops are black. Shaking my head. Numbers don't lie, and I don't believe in coincidences. And the mayor lied as usual. Yes, you did. And Philadelphia is becoming as racist as any southern city or small town. Shaking my head. I would beg to differ and say that Philadelphia has been racist. Like, you know, it's not becoming. We just been in it. And then also Latasha Kashite Tucker. I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly, but good morning to you also. Thanks for checking us out. Kia Fisher Copeland, Viola Richburg Gray. Shout out to you over there in Millsboro, Delaware. She's saying, good morning, Word family, Kawesa and Solomon. She's giving us some heart emojis and some, hand praises and things like that. So thank you so much for that as well. And lastly, I know I saw a couple other folks kind of chime in. Rovetta Everett Gilmore, thanks so much for checking us out this morning as well. So those are a few folks just, checking out the feed, making some comments, but keep them coming and I'll read them when I can.
There you go. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. So, I'm still tripping off Texas. The baddest things are here. At least they not trying to, let COVID just kill us all. At least they not trying to do that. It's unbelievable, but then again, it's not. I have learned so much about America through this COVID crisis. So much about the stubborn, willful grasp that so many people have on ignorance. That, we don't care if you die. I mean, I'm just remembering all of the things that I heard people say on the right about people's lives and what they meant in comparison to COVID. I remember dudes standing up and saying, look, our seniors should be willing to die for the economy. Do you remember that, Kawesa?
I do.
Boy stood up and said our seniors should be willing to die for the economy. Are you out of your mind? You talk about, my mother, your mother, our grandmothers should be willing to die so you could have money? Are you crazy? But this is where they were at. Watching people, man, storm the Capitol because they lost an election. And watching the cops not shoot. While these people were literally trying to kill them. After you told us, it's a split-second decision. I fear for my life. You fear for your life from a naked person with no weapon? You fear for your life when you went in somebody else's house, right? and killed them. You feared for your life with a little kid playing with a toy gun outside in the park, when the person who called told you this is probably a kid and the gun is probably fake. You fear for your life when John Crawford was in a Walmart minding his business, he buying a BB gun, and you come in there and kill him. You always fear for your life until you really should, when the people are really there trying to kill you and only one person got shot. That's the, I just have watched all of this stuff go on, man, through this COVID crisis, because again, I don't even think, if we were not in the position that we were in terms of this COVID crisis, with things kind of halfway shut down and everything, I think that the situation in the Capitol probably would have been a little bit different, right? In terms of how much security is there, how many cops are there, etc. I don't know that the outcome would have been different because, again, they did not respond to them the way that they responded when Black Lives Matter came down to the protests. And y'all had the National Guard and everybody else. People calling for the National Guard, they overrunning them, killing them. And you talking about we don't like the optics. What? Just all of it, man. And watching a president who told people not to wear masks, who had them gathering in these mass rallies, these people out here dying. Young lady went on the Democratic National Convention and said, my father's only pre-existing condition was trusting Donald Trump. And he died. Like, I'm watching all of this, and I'm like, I don't understand why y'all would follow people who don't care about your life. It is amazing, man. Racism is a heck of a drug. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in. Let's talk to Brother Joe from Germantown on line 1. Go ahead, Brother Joe.
Brother Solomon, man, what a way to start the show, good brother. What a way to start the show, man. Solomon, you talk about the ignorance of many Caucasian people in this country. It's just apropos, you know what I'm saying? And that's why, Solomon, me and you might disagree on some things, Solomon, on some issues, because that's just, we always disagree respectfully. I don't after the disagreement say, I hate Brother Solomon, because I know you're a good brother and your heart in the right place. And that's why, Solomon, I just want to say this morning. That's why I'm proud to be a member of Man Up, because, and I say this, Solomon, because I thank God for a person like Jeff Bram, who happened to be Caucasian. He let us use this place for our meetings and stuff back, prior to, the COVID-19. I'm sure he'll let us use them in the future once they get the clearance. And, when I look at how he gives black people a chance, like you say, Buck, you know, brothers that have been incarcerated, they can work their way on up with hard work and become even a manager at some of his stores. You know what I mean? You want to give people of color a chance who maybe took a wrong path in life. And then you compare that, Solomon, to the nation's largest retailer. I don't want to mention their name. The name begins with W. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the email I got on a text on my phone. Here this family, brother Solomon, is worth $228 billion, my brother, and don't even want to pay their employees a decent wage. I mean, they barely making $11 an hour at them places, man. That's a disgrace, man. They got the employees scared to organize the union, everything, man. It's a sin and a shame to the Creator, man. And you can be that evil, mean spirit if the kind of wealth you got that you don't want to pay your hard-working employees a decent wage so they can take care of their families, man. You know, it's sad. That's how I want to express myself. So I'm going to put that out there today, man. This retailer, how evil they are, man. That's why I hate shopping there, to be honest with you. I really hate, only time I go there if I really have to, Brother Simon. If I can avoid that store, you know what I'm talking about, I try not to stop there at all if I can.
All right, Brother Joe, it's good to hear from you this morning. Thank you for your call. Let's go to Rob from Mount Airy on line 2. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, good morning to you, the audience, and to everybody in the radio room. So I see that the governor in Texas and also in Mississippi and Florida decided they're going to go a little nuts, huh? Well, I have a suggestion what could be done. I mean, the President of the United States, he's responsible for those people under his command. So one thing that he could do that can really hurt all three of those states, and I mean hurt them badly, is remove, say, well, I have to protect my people, so I'm going to remove the military bases, which he has the authority to. His cabinet could do that. And also those government offices there that they're giving billions of dollars every year, and just move them out. And the second thing that I would suggest is my parents, like during the 40s and 50s, they moved up south. They moved up north because things were so bad between diseases and also not getting proper medical care. They moved out the state. My parents did. My grandparents. As a matter of fact, everybody during that time who were black did. I'm suggesting those people, you may not be, it may not be the best place to move, but it would be better if you moved to a place, out the state where at least you're on a grid, and where these nuts down here who wants to rub sticks together in order to, make make their little bit of money. I suggest that the people do like my parents and grandparents did, move out of that place, move out of that state.
Yeah, well, I can see the people moving, right? But let me just back up a little bit in terms of removing the military bases. Let's just think through that. Because wherever there's a military base, there are little stores, restaurants around them that depend on those soldiers coming in and out for their living, right? So if you suddenly shut down a military base, A, where do you move those personnel to and the equipment to? There's a lot of stuff on a military base. And then B, what happens to the people, the businesses, really the whole economy that rises up around a military base that depends on those soldiers to make money? What happens to those people?
Solomon, during the time, like I said, when my parents moved out, when everybody else moved out, the people down there survived. They saw what happened. As a matter of fact, there has always been boycotts in America. People have always moved out because things were bad. Those people will survive.
No, there's nothing wrong with people moving out. If people want to move out and they can suddenly do that, I don't know who can just suddenly move in a day, but if they do, if they decide to do that, then certainly that's up to them. I'm talking about the president saying, because you don't have these COVID mandates in place, we're going to shut down the military bases.
He has to protect his people. These people could die. There are variants that are coming in there, and they don't even know if these the vaccines that they got can protect them. He has to also think about the thousands and thousands of people who the government's supposed to protect. They have to make a choice. You have to make a hard choice when things like this happen. And also, the people down there, you see what happened when, that storm came in. Those government officials didn't know what to do, and they even left town themselves.
Yeah, I hear you. You're right. And I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. We do got to get to some other folks. So let's get to Sharif from West Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Sharif.
Good morning, Solomon. Thanks for picking up my call.
You're welcome.
Solomon, when I was listening to the FBI director, Christopher Wray, talking about domestic terrorism, this is not something that is new to this country. Mm-hmm. I mean, we can go back all the way to Reconstruction, when they were hanging people, black people. And these are people who are statesmen, lawyers, teachers, doing that, and then burning people's houses, and then white people in there burning them. That's where terrorism is not. It's not something that started today. It's been in this country. It's in the blood in this country. I mean, this is not something new. And to come and pretend that this domestic terrorism is something that just happened, that the focus more is on Islamic terrorism than domestic terrorism that has been in this country for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And now it's now infiltrating into pretty much destroying the government, and people are pretending, to blame blame the black people, blame Black Lives Matter, blame Antifa, whatever, blame them.
Yeah.
And then you still have these people that are supporting Trump. By the way, is Trump thinking about how McCain? How McCain was supporting him, listening to him, didn't care. He's thinking about him. He's praying for him.
Yeah.
He's gone. He doesn't think about him anymore. That is a lesson that some of these people need to have. I mean, common sense, for God's sake. Thanks for picking up my call, Solomon.
You're right, Sharif, and I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. We got to go to break. On the other side, we're going to take your calls. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of eating the same thing day after day? Is ordering takeout starting to get a little old? If so, then give Premium Nutrition Meals a try. With Premium Nutrition Meals, you get to select new entrees each week from several different menus, all chef-crafted, freshly prepared, and delivered right to your door. Just go to PremiumNutritionMeals.com to order to earn rewards today. WURD listeners receive $10 off orders of 6 meals or more. Enter code PREMIUMWURD at checkout.
WURD Radio celebrates Women's History Month with the 2021 Level Up Contest. Join us as we embark on a 3-city contest that will highlight Black women-owned businesses who are making a difference in their communities. You can nominate yourself or your favorite Black woman-owned business and enter to win a marketing campaign valued at $5,000. Level Up is a joint production of WURD Radio in Philadelphia, WVON in Chicago, and KJLH in Los Angeles. These 3 Black-owned stations are joining forces to host a historic, interactive, and multimedia contest spotlighting Black women-owned businesses in Philly, Chicago, and Los Angeles. The deadline for submissions is March 15th. Philadelphia finalists will be featured in a special 2-hour live on-air pitch party on March 31st, where the Philadelphia winner will be selected. Go to wordradio.com and click on the Level Up banner for more information or to nominate yourself or a Black woman-owned business you love. The 2021 Level Up contest is sponsored by Comcast, Bank of America, PECO, Keystone First, Thomas Jefferson University, and Jefferson Health.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need. Volume busy out there. Schuylkill Expressway eastbound 202 through Conshohocken, against City through Girard. Westbound side not bad. Westbound fine delays 8th Street through the Schuylkill Expressway. Eastbound delays off the Schuylkill Expressway through Broad. Southbound Boulevard Route 1, you're heavy from 9th Street down to Roberts Avenue through construction. Southbound 95 delays Cotman down through Bridge. Again, Betsy Ross through Girard, you're jamming there. Northbound side not bad. 55 north at a jam from Deptford into 42. Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance. Liberty Mutual customizes your insurance so you only pay for what you need. Customize and save with Liberty Mutual Insurance. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
High pressure moving into the area will give us a nice sunny day today, with temperatures warming from the 30s this morning into the upper 40s by lunchtime and a high of 56 this afternoon. Clear and chilly tonight. A cold front passes through. That brings a chilly breeze through the area on Thursday. 34 the low, 46 the high, with partly sunny skies Thursday. Another breezy and chilly day Friday, down to 25 Friday morning, a high of 41 with sunshine in the afternoon. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
You're waking up
with WURD.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. And I'm going to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. Joining us now is Ronnie C. Crudup Jr. He is a Mississippi state representative, and things are bad in Jackson. It's something we're not really hearing about in terms of the water. Mr. Crudup, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, considering. So.
Yeah, so now these storms happened. We heard a lot about Texas. We heard a lot about, other states. We didn't hear a whole lot about Mississippi, and I understand your water system has been impacted. What happened in Mississippi as a result of those storms?
So, that same storm that came through Texas actually came right across to Mississippi as well. And I guess that Valentine's weekend when it hit, we had about a week of ice and snow that it pretty much knocked us out. Knocked us out of power for a while. Energy got the power back up, but the water never came back on. So today, after about 15, 16 days, we finally started to get a little water pressure now, but not a whole lot. So, and our water system, our main water treatment plant facility, it just pretty much, it knocked it out. It shut it down to the point where, kind of using a scientific form that it crashed. And they've been trying to reboot it back up. Now, they finally got it going, but there's a lot of water main breaks all across the city, too. I think they had about 93 counted so far that they're trying to fix to hope to get the pressure back up into a lot of these areas.
So, I mean, did the storm make the pipes burst? Like, what happened to really wreck your water system there like that?
So Jackson is an older city, and we have an old infrastructure system that really hasn't been updated in years. And so we get a little bit of cold weather here and there in our winters, and we may have 2 or 3 days where it's like 20s, a little bit lower. But this is the first time that we've ever had is record-breaking 5 to 6 straight days of below freezing temperatures. And our infrastructure just could not handle that. We're used to getting out, not having water for maybe a day or two and being under a boil water notice. So people are used to kind of putting water aside, keeping in their bathtubs or something of that nature to flush water. But this is the first time that it was totally out. Like I said, some people now have been out almost 3 weeks now. And like I said, it's just the cold water just completely just shut it down.
So how has the black community been affected? Is this disproportionately affecting black people?
Oh, absolutely, because the 2 major parts of town that have been shut down has been South and West Jackson. These are the parts of town where predominantly African Americans, Jackson itself is about 85% black anyway.
Okay.
And so, but the biggest population of blacks are definitely on the west and south side of Jackson. So that's where the crisis definitely hit. People having to go rent hotel rooms, people not having water, having to go out and try to find a way to feed their families, couldn't cook, couldn't wash dishes, the whole 9 yards. And so it has definitely affected African Americans. A lot of folks are, employees of places that are, hourly wage employees. So a lot of them could not work for almost 2 weeks. And so how that's going to affect, and the fact that, this is a real bad freeze, so the energy, as far as energy price is going to be high. So we're looking at now, how to really help people that, to survive during these times.
We're talking with Ronnie Crudup. He's a Mississippi state representative representing Jackson, Mississippi, and some other parts of the state. So what is being done on the government side to try to help these people who have been without water for so long?
Well, so 2 parts. The local government started, I guess, probably a week after, because like I said, there was sheets on the ground. It was ice on the ground for a week, so people just couldn't get out and move. But I know myself and a number of people included, I just look at it with myself. I know a lot of seniors in my community, they needed water. Just because of not being able to go to the grocery stores for a while. So we did that. The local government began to get water tank trucks out in the community that they could have people to pass out flushing water because people couldn't flush their toilets. They did that. The local folks finally got in in contact with the governor's office, and they deployed the National Guard. So the National Guard came out and started helping, and to do what they could with more NEMA, got involved, and so the local guys are doing the best they can. I guess the state government probably could do a little bit more, but at this point, we haven't seen the federal government at all. I'm not sure if the state emergency has been declared now yet. I know they were trying to wait to hit a certain number, but I talked to another senator, my state senator, the other day, about, what do we need to do? He said they were trying to, I guess, wait on something. So at this point, the state government and the locals are doing, at this point, most of them can.
And so you have people in Jackson who have been without water for 2 weeks. The water's just starting to come back on, but it's very weak in terms of the water flow. What are the people doing to survive this? Like, I know our people are very resourceful, but what are they doing to survive this?
So a number of hotels in the surrounding communities know what's going on. They are allowing families to possibly, rent a hotel, and they're letting people kind of come and exchange out. Even a number of my neighbors, my community, we may have one person that may rent a hotel, and about 5 households going to use that hotel. You go take a shower, just do what you need to do, just get freshened up for a minute, then come back home. So a number of folks are doing that. The local YMCA are letting people come in and take showers, get some little rest for a minute. But also, like I said, people are having to go to the surrounding communities to eat because, like I said, no food is being cooked a lot of times in certain parts. Now, certain parts of Jackson in the north side has kind of been restored. They're still under boil water notice right now, but they have been restored. So there is some food options on the north side, but the south side is still kind of been shut down at the current moment. So, but like I said, we are resourceful. People know how to survive, and we're just trying to figure it out, every day. My church that I served at, we've been passing out water from day one. Even when the local Walmarts centrally did not have water, I was able to reach out to some of our colleagues down on the coastal areas and got them to send truckloads of water to us, and that we've been able to distribute to other communities. Because not only did Jackson's water power source shut down, a lot of our surrounding communities, and Jackson is the capital city, and so a lot of our surrounding communities depend on our water system. So we had a portion of Byram, a portion of Utica, a lot of these places are out, and a number of the colleges are out. We got a number of universities that's here too that didn't have water. So people are trying to find best ways to pass out water, some flushable, potable water, all those things to make people, healthy. But, the showers and everything else and the cooking, that's been another major problem.
We're talking with Mississippi State Representative Ronnie Crudup about the water emergency in Jackson. People there have been without water for about 2 weeks since the major winter storms came through the South. And so what are people doing to help? Like, what can our listeners do to help in terms of what's happening in Jackson?
So a lot of people have been donating to our website now, New Horizon Ministries, that's our nonprofit, to be able to continue to get water trucks or water distributed. We got that going on. Now that the ice is finally, settled down, and the storm actually affected a lot of people because trees had fallen on houses. It had knocked power lines out from some of the, our elderly people, plumbing problems that occurred. And so we're raising money to try to address all these issues because we want to make sure that people still have the basic necessities where they have power, food, water. And so people are donating to our nonprofit so we can start, we're on the ground every day trying to make things happen. Like I said, the water, we're going to be on Friday, even when this thing gets fixed. They said hopefully by Friday that everybody finally have full water pressure. But, and we're going to be under probably a boil water notice for probably another week. And so people still need clean, fresh water. So we're going to constantly give out water until this thing is lifted. So people can have, like I say, just clean drinking water to, also to be able to wash the dishes also.
All right. Well, that website is www.newhmi.org. That's www.newhmi.org. That's where you can donate. That's where you can help our folks down in Jackson, Mississippi, who are struggling and have been for nearly 2 weeks after this storm. State Representative Ronnie Crudup Jr., I want to thank you so much for joining us and alerting us about what's happening in Jackson this morning on WURD.
I thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. So remember, you can send your donations to www.newhmi.org. That stands for New Horizon Ministries, right? www.newhmi.org. State Representative Crudup, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, all right. We are going to go to break. On the other side, we are going to talk with Lynn Washington, Temple journalism professor, about what's happening with the Supreme Court and voting rights. It's something that every black person needs to be aware of, and we're going to talk about it on this morning's show. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
I went to check on Pop today. We put our hands up to the glass as if we were touching, but really the only touching part was that we both tried to smile.
That's no way to say hello or goodbye. COVID-19 vaccines are here, but until enough of us are vaccinated, we'll all still need to help slow the spread. Keep a 6-foot distance, wear a mask, and avoid indoor social gatherings. Learn more about vaccines and slowing the spread at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
James Schuler Memorial Boxing Gym presents Around the Way Rumbling, an amateur boxing event Saturday, March 6th. The first bout is at 2 p.m. at James Schuler Memorial Gym, located at 750 North Brooklyn Street, off of 42nd and Lancaster Avenue. Boxing saves lives, and this is the perfect time to join the gym. Monthly memberships and boxing lessons are available for ages 7 through 70. For sponsorship information, call Crystal at 717-421-0512.
Hi, it's me, Gia Peppers. Tune in to More Than That with me live this weekend or catch the show wherever you listen to podcasts. This week, I'm talking to Samantha Fox, founder of Mother's Finest Urban Farms, and Lauren Ash, wellness expert and founder of Black Girl in Ohm. More Than That is brought to you by Kroger. Visit Kroger.com/ZHZW for more on their commitment to creating communities free of hunger and waste. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Nature is the best teacher. What do you think nature has taught you? What is one of the biggest takeaways from Mother Nature that you've implemented in your life?
It's just really a humbling lifestyle. You know, it's really just to have the ultimate respect for Mother Nature.
The practice of writing and reflecting on your own life story, not only is it a powerful way to just kind of unwind at the end of the day, get everything out, but it can also start to beautifully influence your dream.
This work started off as a personal journey, and once I started getting into it, I really said, this is something that I really need to help other Black families, Black women, just us as a whole, reconnect to the soil in a way that is not a traumatic experience.
You know, one of my spiritual practices in terms of honoring the ancestors is literally preparing a meal that they enjoyed and putting a little bit of that out on their altar as a, gesture of gratitude and appreciation.
Planting a seed is such a revolutionary act. It's not a small thing. It's all very huge. And me showing it in more of a beautiful way, in my own way, has been able to just awaken people all over the world because they're like, wow, I really didn't know I could do this. So it's something I do with my family, and I'm happy to share.
You've been having like a chronic disease your whole life. That is not you, and that is not a part of your identity, and you deserve to be held so that you can step into complete optimal well-being. Like, that's your birthright.
Lifting every voice
till earth and heaven ring.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media. Backed by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
what we saw was misconduct by police. As Malcolm X said, American democracy is nothing but disguised hypocrisy. If you did see the video and you did nothing, you need to go.
And now, Lynn Washington, only on Wake Up with Word.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I'm going to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Joining us now is Lynn Washington. He's a professor of journalism at Temple University, where he's a co-founder of the award-winning Multimedia Urban Reporting Lab. In addition to his Temple degrees, Washington holds a law degree from Yale University. Lynn, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, doing well. Had a bowl of cereal. I'm ready to go.
Okay, there you go. There you go. That's what I need. So I want to talk about what's happening at the Supreme Court. It is of great concern because conservative Supreme Court justices yesterday appeared inclined to uphold two Republican-backed voting restrictions in Arizona in a case that could further hobble the Voting Rights Act. What would that mean for black voters, Lynn?
Well, any diminution in voting rights impacts our communities. Clearly, it would impact any community because it takes away our ability to have a voice in politics. But what we're seeing with this particular matter that's before the Supreme Court is what we have seen pretty much since the inception of this country, when there have been continuous efforts to suppress and or deny the right to vote to black people.
So how far does this go back? I know, we kind of texted back and forth about, some of these efforts and how this is not new. And I think knowing that context would help our listeners to kind of understand what we're up against.
Okay. Well, let me start today and go back. In Arizona, the laws that they are now in dispute, and what Arizona is trying to get the court to back is saying that, give us a law, give us court rulings that say you have to provide more and more and more proof to show that a law is discriminatory. What Arizona is doing is two things. They're saying, one, that if you have an absentee ballot, you have to bring it to a voting place or to a mailbox. At the very least in Arizona, that adversely impacts Native Americans. Some of them live on reservations. They don't have mail service at their house. Some of them have to drive 2 hours to get to a mailbox. The other one is that if you, they would just throw out provisional ballots if you vote at the wrong polling place. And Arizona is one of the states where they change the polling places, almost like on the eve of election. So if your polling place is around the corner and then they change it to across town and you go around the corner, they're going to have you sign a provisional ballots. They want to just knock those ballots out. So they're saying that because we do voter suppression, although it impacts adversely on African Americans or Native Americans, it's not discriminatory, which is foolishness. Now, just to roll it back real quick, in Pennsylvania, we think of Pennsylvania as being this very, genteel Quaker state, very progressive from the beginning. No, it wasn't. In 1837, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court outlawed voting for black people. They said in the opinion very clearly that we created this commonwealth for white people. We didn't include you in there. There was a court suit where a black guy who owned property, paid taxes, and lived in, I think it was an upstate county. It was around Wilkesboro somewhere. And they said, okay, that's right. And he said the Constitution of the state just says free men who meet these restrictions. It didn't say anything about white. And the court says, well, that's right. They didn't put white in there because I think, this is not because of the law, but because I think that they didn't want to embarrass dark-skinned white people. The following year, 1830.
Wait, what?
I know this is so crazy. Just like so much that we see today, you can't make this stuff up. It said that they did not include white as a prefix for freemen in the Constitution because it might embarrass whites of darker skin. somebody might think that they were a Negro. And this notion that, you know, we never intended you to be a part of anything other than being servants to us, slaves and or servants. The next year, in 1838, the state adopted a new constitution that did put white freemen in there, and blacks didn't have the right to vote in Pennsylvania until after the passage of the 15th Amendment in 1870, and we know the following year was the first year that blacks could vote, and we know what happened in October of 1871. Octavius Catto was murdered on his way to vote, and he had encouraged black people to vote, and police were actually aiding and abetting the white folks who were trying to keep black people from voting. And we see these things all over the United States. And just let me go back around to Arizona. Arizona was a member of the Confederacy. It wasn't a state, it was a territory, but it was a part of the Confederacy. So the Confederacy didn't stop at Texas. It went all the way over into Arizona. So Arizona has a history of voter suppression. A former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, William Rehnquist, who tried to do all he could to cut and cripple the civil rights laws that came out of the late 60s and into the 70s, he got into public office, or, you know, public life, through voter suppression efforts. And then he later became, he was working with the Republican Party, then he went to the Justice Department, then he went up on the Supreme Court. One of his clerks, one of the people who clerked for him, and later became a Justice Department lawyer who campaigned to cripple the Voting Rights Act, is a guy named John Roberts, who is now the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah. So, hey, a luta continua. The struggle continues.
And so when you look at what's happening now, because I've kind of looked at what's happened since the election. So you've got over 200 proposals, right? Yeah. In 43 states to try to suppress the vote since that election has happened. Like our vote is under attack. And I just don't know that our people understand that right now, but I need them to. And so, Lynn, when you look at what's happening now, is there any historical precedent for this where we see, this nationwide effort in these places where you have state legislators really trying to do everything they can to cripple the black vote?
Historic precedent, the history of America. It's been like this all along.
Yeah.
We looked at Pennsylvania, where the state legislature passed a new constitution in 1838 that limited voting to only white freemen. Delaware passed Jim Crow laws in 1875, which curtailed, all kinds of activities for black people, and that lasted until 1963. I mean, when we look around the country, we see these efforts all the time. Voter ID. I think it was in Texas or one of these states, you needed a voter ID. Now, you couldn't use say, for example, you couldn't use a college ID for your ID, although it was issued by a state agency. However, you could use a gun license to vote. So they have all these little tricky little things to try to suppress the vote. And if I could just add, I know this is a little bit off topic, but it's still on topic. In Pennsylvania, there have been all kinds of efforts to suppress the vote, and the courts have, for the better part, knocked them out, but the Republicans keep coming back. But the Republicans now have this scheme where they want to, instead of having the Pennsylvania Supreme Court be elected statewide, they want to break the state up into certain regions and have a representative of the court from each particular region. So you could have these, like in the middle of the state where you might have more black bears in a county than you have black people, they would get a representative on the court. So this is another way to try to control and corral people. And if you have a composition of the court for people like from Forest County and Tioga County, do you think they're going to respect voting rights that benefit people in Philadelphia? No.
Right.
So there is historical precedent, and that precedent incident is that there has been a continuous effort throughout the history of America to deny the right to vote for blacks. That's why it's important that we get this, the John Lewis Restoration Act that deals with voter suppression, that deals with dark money, campaign finance reform, and all that sort of things. The very things that America should have, particularly America that has spent trillions of dollars going around the world telling everybody else how they should vote.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, they are now have in place sanctions against Venezuela because they said the elections down there were unfair. Now, just because the majority of the population voted for a particular government, a government that has reduced poverty tremendously and all but eliminated illiteracy, they don't like that. And I think it was the United Nations said that the United States is engaging in human rights violations with their sanctions against Venezuela. So we can go around the world and tell everybody how they run their democracy, but we're running our democracy in the ground. Yeah. Or should I say running it further into the ground than what it has always been in terms of black people and other persons of color. But let me just say black people because, now we have to say other people of color when the original sin was what they did to black people and what they continue to do to black people.
Yeah. And I guess my question is this. So what do we do, Len?
Hey, fight. We got to continue to fight. Lawsuits, protests, we might have to come up with some more creative things, because in America, money determines stuff. And we always talk about the buying power that we have. Black people have enough money in the community, we would be the 5th largest economy on earth. Now, as you know, and as your guest Akbar would always say, there's a difference between having money and having wealth.
Yep.
But we do have spending power. And if we use our spending power strategically, we can achieve results. And we've kind of gotten away from that, but we have so many models here in Philadelphia, like what Reverend Sullivan did, and some of the things that King did. So I mean that would be one way to do it. But the bottom line is there's people out here that are strategizing, have plans. We just have to support that stuff, and that's more than coming on radio and saying I'm supporting this. I mean, if somebody says don't shop at this place, don't shop at that place.
Right.
And that'll have an impact, but the virus, the pandemic that or should I say epidemic, because it's a pandemic. Racism is a pandemic, because we're having problems here, but they're having problems with black people in England, France, and I dare say many places in Africa where you got people who are just ripping their own people off. So yeah, racism is a virus around the world, but we got to fight. I mean, that's what I would say. Because what else? I mean, if we don't fight, then they're just going to beat us up and beat us down, and that's not where we should go after 200-300 years of fighting to get where we are now. They're really trying to push us back again to the back of the bus.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I want to talk about what's happening in Texas and also in Mississippi now that I think about it.
Yeah.
So the governor has removed these mask mandates in almost every COVID restriction, saying, okay, it's over now. Everybody go back to business as usual, when the healthcare industry is saying, no, this is not the time. We have variants and everything else, and people's lives are still at risk. Len, what do you make of it?
I just think that this is absolutely crazy. Texas has the 3rd highest death rate for COVID behind California and New York. Of the 10 states that have 25 or more new cases of COVID every single day, Texas is one of those 10. And I heard a statistic yesterday that of the 20 counties in the United States that have the highest COVID rates, 11 of them are in Texas. Now, from those statistics alone, one would say, we may try to keep these masks on a little more, make sure we get some more vaccinations. But no, not the governor of Texas. I think, and this may be being too cynical, but I think he's taken a playbook out of his hero's strategy, Donald Trump, where you divert attention to get eyes away from a major failing that you've done. Greg Abbott performed horribly in Texas's deep freeze. When that type of a calamity strikes a state, usually the governor will ask for federal help. They'll ask for FEMA to come in. They'll ask for disaster aid. They'll ask for assistance from the U.S. military. Greg Abbott made one request to the federal government: send money directly to people. Well, if they sent money directly to people who are now not living in the homes or apartments that they were in because of frozen pipes and everything, they wouldn't get the money. So this guy has been an abject failure. And instead of helping his people who are now standing in lines to get food and water, he's talking about taking your mask off. So you're trying to survive because you don't have food and water. You're standing in the line, and then it becomes a super spreader COVID event. What's he trying to do? Kill off his people so he don't have to downsize the problem that he has in terms of starving people and people who can't have houses that are adequate. It's crazy, man, but it's just so much a part of what we see from conservatives and Republicans and too many people of a certain racial demographic.
So, that's the first thing I thought about. I'm like, okay, you guys are still in crisis. Right. You got people down there with $16,000 electric bills because you privatized the electric grid and then said we're going to deregulate it and let y'all do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even have the nerve to send somebody a bill like that, Lynn. I mean, for real, like, it's crazy. And so people without water still, people without food still, people whose lives and houses and everything else is ruined, people dead, and you talking about take your mask off.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
If he wanted to do it, at least give it a week or two. All right? And then try to do something for the people, and then you can run this nonsense. But like you were mentioning the electric bills, and that was because of the deregulation. We're going to do it our own way. They sealed off the borders, so in adjoining states that had electricity, they couldn't transfer that electricity into Texas when Texas needed it. It's just absurd. They have this regulatory board that sets prices and, manages everything. Many of those people have resigned because they're now under criticism. But it comes out that many of the people who were on the regulatory board for utilities in Texas did not live in Texas, and a few of them didn't even live in the United States.
Wow.
Now, how absurd is that? But this is what you get from conservative republicanism. And, the Democrats haven't done all that they should, but we know what these guys are doing, and girls.
Amazing.
Hey, there's a lot of these Republican women. I mean, the ones that who are most blatant in Congress now, wanting to carry guns in Congress, are Republican women, members of Congress.
Yeah. It's deep, man. It's a whole lot. That is, of course, Temple University journalism professor Lynn Washington. He is the co-founder of the award-winning Multimedia Urban Reporting Lab. In addition to his Temple degrees, Washington holds a law degree from Yale University. Lynn, as always, thanks so much.
Thanks, Solomon. Have a great day to you and your listeners. And
all right,
boys.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. We're going to go to break on the other side. We're going to continue the show. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is John.
Hi, this is Juanita, owners of JD's Auto Body and Painting. We're located at 6300 Wayne Avenue, right there at the intersection of Wayne and Washington Lane.
We really like to thank all you WURD listeners for the support that you've given our business, and we really hope to see you in the future.
JD, tell them about our products and services we have.
We have a new state-of-the-art paint shop along with our body shop and detail shop. We can help you with the dents and scratches from the winter season.
Come to JD's Auto Body and Painting. Come on out and check us out. We're still still honoring that WURD 10% discount, give us a call, 215-848-5949. Again, 215-848-5949.
Thanks again for supporting our business. We really appreciate you.
See you at JD's Auto Body and Painting.
Okay, Her's new fire potato chips and cheese curls, they are spicy. Whew, they're hottest snacks yet. Hold on. Whew. But you know, it's not just heat. There's some nice sweet and savory stuff going on too. Ooh, there's that heat again. It burns, but it burns so tasty. Ooh, that's hot. Find Her's Fire Snacks at your store today. Whew. Taste the flavor, feel the heat, break out the Her's.
Now, a traffic update.
On WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need. Delays on the Schuylkill Expressway eastbound busy 202 to Gladwin against City rating through Girard westbound Boulevard up to Gladwin. That is a slow ride. Southbound Boulevard Route 1. Delays from 9th Street down to Roberts Avenue through that construction. On the Vine Expressway westbound heavy 8th Street out through the Schuylkill. Eastbound delays off 76 through Broad Street. Southbound 95 you're busy Cotman through Bridge through construction. Again, Betsy Ross through Girard. Northbound looks good. 55 north heavy there at Deptford in the 42. Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance. Liberty Mutual customizes your insurance so you only pay for what you need. Customize and save with Liberty Mutual Insurance. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Clear skies this morning, bright sunshine through the day, and a nice warm-up to 56 degrees this afternoon. A bit chillier and breezier for Thursday, with partly sunny skies. Will warm from 34 to 46 in the afternoon. Then sunshine will be bright on Friday, just a bit chillier and still breezy with a high of 41. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. We are, of course, taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. I'm listening to the weather forecast. I think I might venture outside today, Kawesa. I think I might actually get out of here. What do you think?
I think that's a good idea. It's supposed to be beautiful. Like I need to do the same. Get some walking shoes on and just take myself for a walk. You know.
Exactly. Exactly. Because man, this is I've been in this house. Like strapped to this computer, writing, and now it's like I don't know what to do. Like, what do I do now? Okay, I'm done. What do I do? Like it's. I got to get out of here. I took my car. I washed my car yesterday because, it was looking mighty dusty, from the salt and all of that stuff. And so I figured, since it stopped snowing for a minute, let me go ahead and wash my car. So my car looks a little bit better. Now I got to get out of here, get some sun, get something. Black folk ain't meant to be out of the sun too long. So I got to get out here, get me some sun.
I hear that.
Look
that.
Here.
Yeah.
Look, man. I want to hear from you guys. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. We're talking about a number of things, including our top 3 stories, which are story number 1. For the last decade, the Philadelphia Police Department has been under a monitoring agreement because of a federal lawsuit, Bailey versus Philadelphia, that alleged police were illegally targeting black residents for stops and searches without proper justification. Well, they are trying to get around that, according to a memo from 3rd District Captain which said, do more car stops because then you won't have the constraints of that Bailey agreement. Huh? What? So you stopping and frisking people from their cars now instead of doing it on foot. Yeah, we got to check y'all for that. So we're going to talk with Councilman Isaiah Thomas about that a little bit later in the show. Story number 2, fresh off a weather disaster that knocked out the power grid, killed dozens of people, and left people with electric bills as high as $16,000. Texas is at it again. Governor Greg Abbott announced yesterday he's lifting the mask mandate and every other COVID restriction in Texas, even as health officials warn not to do so. They did the same thing in Mississippi. We talked a little bit earlier with a state representative from there, and there is a way to help the people down there in Mississippi. We'll share it with you as we continue the show. But story number 3 from my column today in the Philadelphia Inquirer, the tale of Mike Tyson's life is riveting, and that's why Hulu is exploiting it for their own gain. Abandoned by his father, Tyson and his siblings were raised by a single mother who moved the family to a crime-ridden Brooklyn neighborhood. Tyson learned to fight, joined the gang, was arrested repeatedly before he was sent to the reform school that eventually led him to trainer Cus D'Amato. He told Tyson he could become heavyweight champion of the world, and by 20, Tyson did just that. Now, you stop the story there. It's the kind of story that inspires and entertains, but his story is more complicated than that. He made some mistakes, did some things, committed some crimes. Like, he's a guy who is a complicated character, right? But Hulu's doing his life story, and they getting paid off of it, and he's not. Imagine if that was you. And I talked with a former entertainment attorney named James Elam, who said, look, that's the way it's always been in Hollywood. That black people's stories have always been exploited. And the people who produce our stories don't look like us for the most part. Like, that is the paradigm. That's how they operate. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, if they could do that to him, they could do that to me. Look, if you do my story, trust me, one way or the other, y'all got to pay me. Because I had to live it. I had to live it. And it wasn't all peaches and cream. It wasn't no crystal stare. It wasn't this thing that was just, you see me at the end. No, you should have been there when I was in them abandoned houses and all of that stuff. Like, you ain't see all of that. You understand what I'm saying? Mike Tyson have been through drugs and everything else. Like, and for them to just do his story and don't pay him? Come on, man. It's just doing something to me. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. Dave Chappelle had to go through the same thing, Kuwait. So they had his show on Netflix, and he came out publicly like, hold up, how y'all got my show on your network and you ain't paying me? They took it off, and they just put a few episodes back on. So, I'm sure they worked out something. But, you got to call these people out on this stuff, man, because they'll take black stories and be like, oh, we're being diverse. But the people who should benefit from it are not. You cannot let that happen.
Yeah, you really can't. You can't let that happen. With Dave Chappelle, his was a contract thing. Like, breach of contracts. Like, make sure that you are going to benefit in the long run, no matter what happens. Get those royalty checks coming to you. But in the case of Mike Tyson, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, it's just like, how dare you use my story?
Yeah.
And then not give me any coins for it. Like, it shouldn't. I kind of feel like it shouldn't be allowed to be done. I understand that he's a public figure, but at the same time, it's like, when you are not in charge of your own narrative, that is really scary. Yep. It is very, very scary. And so when other people are responsible for putting your story out there, it can be dangerous. I mean, look, I don't even know when they did that whole thing. What was his name? Oh my gosh, now I'm losing it. Football player. Oh gosh, they said he killed his wife, but he didn't. Or he was. Why can't I?
I'm drawing a blank too.
I am too. That's O.J. Simpson. There you go. It took me a minute.
Okay,
but like when they had that whole story that was on there too. And did they talk to him? Did they talk to the brother and say like, hey, is this how you want to be portrayed? Like, no, they made money off of him too, and he wasn't found guilty for that. And it still follows him for the rest of his life. So and it hung him up later. So it's just it's infuriating when you really think about how Hollywood continues to do this to black folks.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD, and let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So a few more comments that we have here. Good morning to Diane Hamilton-Mitchell. Thanks so much for checking us out. Derek Ramsey is saying, good morning, Solomon, Kawesa, and WURD family. Checking in from Cincinnati. Stay safe. Peace. So good morning to you over there in Cincinnati. We appreciate you checking us out. Thank you so much. Then also, Tia Hicks is saying, good morning, and thanks to Dr. Washington. And Ayatunde Garrett actually is saying that white women have always been stewards of racism. So that's a comment that we have here as well. Winona Hayes Poole, always good information from Professor Lynn Washington. Good morning to Walter Davis, if I didn't say good morning earlier. Linda Shields is saying, good morning, WURD family of Solomon and Kawesa. Lynn Washington is on point once again. Black people ain't going nowhere. We must continue the fight. The governor is whacked in Texas. I can see that miles away. It's so sad, especially the state they're in. They need Jesus. So that's another comment. Gary Q. Hines, Tyson needs to call Ben Crump. And then also Deborah Dorn Carter, Solomon, Mike Tyson should sue them. When will we get our just due? Constantly taking from our people. I'm so tired of it. And then also lastly, Regina Neely is saying they just did the same thing to Tiger Woods on the news, going all the way back to earlier situations, which had nothing to do with this accident. So that's another comment that we have here as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what they like to do. You know, and I had to mention some of that in my column today, which you can find on Philly.com. We'll make sure we get a version of it up on wordradio.com. But you know, that's they love that. You know, going back and just digging up every grimy thing that they can, and making it about that rather than what's happening in the moment. You know, and like I said, you know, you look at when a person's life becomes normal, when it becomes, you know, a life where they're stable, they have a family, they're married, they're doing the right thing. Well, that's boring. We don't want to do that. Some years ago, Kawesa, we pitched a series about a series of columns that I had done for years based on like family humor, right? And we went to see a certain network, and they say, y'all too normal. We pass on this project. We don't want to do it because they want to see, and especially from black people, they want to see aberrant behavior. They want to see, you know, malfeasance. They want to see you involved in some nonsense. Like they want to see you arguing and fighting all the time. They want to see drama, you know. And you know, there's always a part of that in everybody's life. But if you are too, you know, normal, right? Even if it's funny or entertaining or whatever, you know, that's not what we want to see. We want to see, you know, something crazy. We want to see y'all acting crazy so we can continue to perpetuate that stereotype. We want to see y'all in jail. We want to see y'all uneducated. We want to see you illiterate. We want to see you not voting. We want to see you in poverty. We want to see you shooting each other. Like, that's what we want. That's entertainment, right? And it's like, no, but that's why you have to be in charge of your own story, man. I'm going to tell y'all, like I've told thousands of kids, right, that I have taught over the years, man. Somebody's going to tell your story. It might as well be you. And if your story is going to be told, you know, you need to get paid. Bottom line, like, you need to get paid. I don't care how terrible your life has been, how many mistakes you've made, whatever. Guess what? Those are your mistakes. That's your terrible behavior. That's your story. That's your life. You had to live it. You should get paid. That's where I'm at. You know what I mean? So I want to hear from you. Give me a call. 215-634-8065, of course, is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning's show. 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. So, Texas, man, I just keep thinking about the people there and, you know, just this terrible leadership. You didn't actually overseen a portion of Texas history where people have actually died because you were not prepared for a winter storm. People have actually died because you turned over your electric grid to a private company. People have actually died because you did not regulate them to make sure that there was some backup, that there was something just in case things went wrong. People have died. You know what and you talking about your solution? Take your mask off because, you know, the storm might have killed you, but COVID won't, huh? Like, it boggles my mind to have these people actually in charge of anything, man. And I'm really clear on the bait and switch that you have people who will follow just nonsense because this person is upholding racism, or this person is looking out for, you know, the rich, or this person is telling you about, you know, some moral behavior that other people are doing that you should stand up against that ain't really got nothing to do with you. And they have no idea what they're doing. So vote for me based on, you know, abortion. Vote for me based on my support for business. Vote for me based on my support for racism. But meanwhile, if something really happens to you and you really need me to really do something, I don't know what to do. And so now I'm going to divert your glance from that to say, well, you know, I tell you what, take your mask off. Open up everything. You know, COVID is over. When the health professionals are saying, no, it's not. That's dangerous. Like, you're endangering people's lives. And it is amazing to me to watch people just follow that nonsense, man. If you black and you in Texas, if you black and you got people in Texas or Mississippi, because they did it too, you know, where the people in Jackson don't have water, and you talking about take your mask off. No, fix the water problem. Fix the problem of people who had trees fall on their houses. Fix the problem of people who living out of hotels, 5 and 6 families at a time. Like, what? Take your mask off? What does that have to do with the main problem that people are experiencing? Like, it's a bait and switch. It's a look over here so you can't see what's really happening behind the scenes. It's a travesty, man, and you know, we need to call it out. And so if you want to be helpful to the people in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi, where they have where the vast majority of people who live there are black, you can go to a website and donate to those folks who have been without water since this storm, and they talking about take your mask off. Like, they had no water. But anyway, go to www.newhmi.org. That's www.newhmi.org. That's where you can donate and help the people in Jackson, Mississippi, because the government there sure ain't helping them. They talking about take your mask off. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show with What's Trending right here at WURD.
Well, the kids are in bed. Time for a little grown-up quiet time.
What do you mean quiet time? It's your birthday. We're about to party.
Haha, funny. It's gonna have to be a you and me party this year. You know we can't have anybody over.
Well, your mom and dad are coming from Florida. Sis will be here from California. Oh, and a couple of old friends from just about everywhere will be showing up. They should all be here about now.
COVID-19 has changed the way we do things, for now. But social distancing doesn't mean you can't be social. COVID-19 doesn't have to keep us apart. Friends and family are finding new ways to be together, especially with how hard it's hitting the black community. Vaccines are here, but until enough of us are vaccinated, we still have to be down with slowing the spread. Keep a 6-foot distance, wear a mask, and avoid indoor social gatherings. Learn more about vaccines and slowing the spread at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The WURD Radio Newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting WURDradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax-Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio Newsletter.
It's Women of Color Her Story Month 2021 in the city of sisterly affection. This is a time to celebrate the power, legacy, and achievement of Black women. Brought to you by New Voices for Reproductive Justice, based here in Philadelphia. This year's theme is Black Majesty. You are invited to 4 virtual events from February 15th to March 15th. Visit womenofcolorherstory.org and WOC Her Story on Facebook and Twitter for full event details.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD. All circuits are busy. Here's what's trending.
Yo, that's crazy.
On Wake Up with WURD.
First The Rock, and now Will Smith is thinking about running for president of the United States one day. Smith says, I think for now I'll let that office get cleaned up a little bit, and then I'll consider that at some point down the line. Smith also clarified that whether he remains in Hollywood or pivots to politics, he'll always find a way to use his elevated platform to speak truth into power and advocate for what he believes in.
And Dr. Seuss Enterprises pulled 6 books from publication because of their racist imagery. For example, If I Ran the Zoo contains images of what look to be African men barefoot in grass skirts with their hot hair tied above their head. The Enterprise says these books portray people in ways that are hurtful and wrong. Ceasing sales of these books is only part of our commitment and plan to ensure the catalog represents and supports all communities and families.
And Tiger Woods might not be out of the woods just yet. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department executed a search warrant to investigate the black box from the car Tiger Woods crashed last week. Sheriff's Deputy John Shogel confirmed that the department sought data from the car to determine if criminal charges were necessary. He characterized the warrant as due diligence, according to the report. And that is what's trending.
What?
Right! Like, really?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Now, you saw he wasn't drunk. What else could there be? What could you find from the black box in the car? It's not a plane crash. Either he was drunk or high, or he wasn't. Right? And so if you found him and you said he was not impaired, right, then what are you looking? Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Yo, man, that's crazy.
It is. It's crazy. Like, I think that the reckless driving charge is still off. You know, like, they're not going to do that. But yeah, like, they're checking to make sure they don't have to file criminal. Like, nobody, the only person who was hurt was Tiger. Like, he didn't run into anybody. You know,
Right.
it was his car that was wrecked, his body that was wrecked. Like, and he wasn't intoxicated or impaired. Like, I'm trying to really figure out, like, why y'all being so nosy? Like, just let it go.
Why are you doing that? You know what I mean? That's crazy. And, you know, they don't do that to a regular person. You in a car accident, you know, they come, they take a police report. You call your insurance company. They figure out who's at fault, and the insurance company pays. That's what happens. What do you mean you looking at the black box from the car, and he in a single car crash? What is that? Why are you doing that? You doing it because he Tiger Woods? You doing it because he black? You doing it because he famous? Or is it all three? You understand what I'm saying? That doesn't happen. Like, why?
Definitely all three.
Yeah, it's definitely all three. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. And here's the other thing. So I watched the press conference that the Los Angeles County Sheriff did around that car crash. And what they said is that is an area where we have a lot of crashes because it's downhill and on a curve, and people tend to go faster than they should around that stretch if they're not familiar with it, right? And so what do you mean you're looking at the black? You know why he crashed. He was going a little bit too fast, right? Lost control of the car. Only he was hurt. Why are you doing it? You already know he wasn't drunk, so why are you doing that? Man, oh man, oh man. We cannot catch a break. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Let's go to Gloria from Sharon Hill on line 1. Go ahead, Gloria.
Hi, Solomon. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mercy, I'm in Kuwait. So how you doing, Solomon?
Good.
How's your family?
Family's good.
Oh, that's good.
Family's
That's good.
good.
Tell them I said hello. Okay?
I sure will.
Oh, yeah. All the stuff that Lynn Washington was talking about this morning, I was writing this down. I tried to get as much as I could. Scribble, but I wrote some of it down. Is there a website I can go to reference to that story?
You're talking about with the Supreme Court?
Yes. Yes. I've been telling people about the voter suppression. I've been telling them about the votes that they try to pass, the laws, whatever, the bills,
we'll put a link on the website.
Okay.
And on the Facebook feed.
Oh, well, I don't have Facebook, so. Okay. Okay. All right. And another thing, Solomon. Oh, about Tiger Woods, because he's black and he's famous. Okay. Yeah. Like you said, all three. And I said, well, you know what? What are they looking for? That's what I'm trying to figure. As far as Mike Tyson, go for the money, Michael. Go for it. He should sue him. I don't blame him. He's right. Sue those people. Yeah, they should do that without his consent or anything from those stories. But no, that stuff you wrong. I'm sorry. No, I'm not buying that one. Have a good day.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning's show. 215-634-8065. Maurice from Southwest is on line 2. Go ahead, Maurice.
Hey, Solomon. Hey, listen, this story in Mississippi and in Texas, this story is so big, I don't know why it's kind of like quieted down. This thing could destroy the country again because neither one of these states, these people should be allowed to leave their state if they're going to do this. They could start the whole thing up again. We're trying to get somewhere close to being free, and they just releasing the disease all over again. I mean, what is the Democratic Party doing? If it was Republicans, they would have commercials out where they would show the president and 500,000 lives dead. They would have commercials like that going on. And with this man Abbott, they should have the same thing. What are you trying to do? Destroy what we have done so far? I don't see none of that. All I hear is people just talking between themselves because Democratic Party and the Republican Party are the same people. They're just playing good cop and bad cop. And I just hope as black people we can get through it. That's my statement.
All right. Well, thank you for your call this morning. I'm on WURD. I ain't even go. Let's go to Thelma from New Jersey on line 3. Go ahead, Thelma.
Yes, hi. How you doing? You and
Good. How are you?
Creator. I'll never get her name right.
It's
I'm
Pawesa.
sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
How are you, Solomon?
I'm good.
How's that book and how's the cookies?
The cookies.
Yeah.
The cookies are good. I got one right here. Cookies are good.
I said, I'm going to get that brand going after all. One of these days. Because I know you talk about your wife all the time.
She done made these cookies. That's why I got to get out here and walk. She made these cookies. I got to get out of here, man.
That's all right. Let's monetize it, you know?
Uh-huh.
Well, look, could you please let us know if anyone is going down to Mississippi to deliver any water or anything so I can donate some water, but I might be going down there more likely next week. So I've made some good connections in Burlington with the food pantry and with the mayor. They got a black mayor, I didn't even know, in Burlington. And then the fairs guy, I talked to him. And but I'm going to talk to them again now because I think we need to go as a representative to show, the black show up thing,
Yeah.
And because I remember when Mrs. Shamari of your station went down when they had that big storm before. And so I think that was such a wonderful thing that the state, that he did. And the station, I'm sure he had the support of the station as well. But to make a long story short, the WURD station, it looked like it's almost like a rescue mission for our people. And it would be nice if we could, if there was money to buy a van, a WURD van that would go out. And they can advertise, put the WURD on the outside of the van. And
we actually do have a couple of vehicles that have WURD on the outside of them. They go out for events that we do. And so I want to thank you so much for your call and for your suggestion this morning. In terms of those who might want to donate, right now, the way to do it is to do it through a website. And that is, where is it? newhmi.org. That's www.newhmi.org. That's the way that we are telling people to donate for now in terms of the water crisis that is ongoing in Jackson, Mississippi. That's www.newhmi.org. You can go and you can donate there. So 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at FORWORD, at FORWURD, FORWURD. I can't get over the whole Tiger Woods thing, Kawesa. Talk about kicking a person while they're down. Like, the man's still in the hospital. You talk about, all right, now we got to get the black box out of his car and investigate further. Investigate what? Come on, man.
Yeah, leave that man alone.
Leave him alone.
Leave him alone. He could have, literally career, injuries that are career ending.
Absolutely.
Just leave him alone. Let him try to rest up. Let him try to come back and be great, because he's still great. You know what I mean? But I'm just like, man, stop. Let him rest up. Don't bother him with that nonsense. He ain't hurt nobody but himself.
Yeah. Jess, I want to hear from you. Give me a call. 215-634-8065. Is it just me, or are they doing too much with Tiger Woods? 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Do you do that to anybody else when they have a car accident? Do you check to see, all right, let's check the black box in the vehicle to see what else we can find? No, you don't do that to anybody else. You have a car accident, the cops come, they do a report, you wasn't drunk, okay, everybody go home. If you need to get treated, you get treated. The insurance company handles the rest. Like, what, huh? They giving him some special black celebrity treatment. Oh, okay, we got Tiger Woods. Okay, we're going to make sure we get some more attention for ourselves by continuing to investigate him after this one car accident where nobody else was involved, nobody else was hurt but him. And we got to dig a little deeper to make sure we can get something on Tiger Woods to really promote ourselves. That's what that's really about. Whenever you can get a big fish, that's what they do. You try to get the big fish, right? So you put pressure on the people who are lower in the chain of command to flip on the person who was up top. Now, with this, Tiger's by himself. So what do? We're going to get the black box out of the car. They never do that. They never do that for a car accident. You know what I'm saying? Nobody died. They don't do that. And so this is just them trying to get some attention for themselves, man. That's reprehensible. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are in these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. We are going to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to talk with City Councilman Isaiah Thomas about what's going on with the police department. A disturbing memo comes out showing that they are actually trying to get around the restrictions that have been put in place in terms of stop and frisk. Wait until you hear this mess. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD Radio. We'll be right back.
The COVID-19 crisis has made it difficult for many students to get online. Over the last 10 years, Comcast has been dedicated to advancing digital equity and closing the digital divide. Now, they are working with their network of nonprofit partners and city leaders to create more than 1,000 Wi-Fi connected lift zones in community centers nationwide. Because students and their families need safe spaces to get online and access the resources they need to succeed in a digital world. Learn more at comcast.com/education.
Your child deserves to be educated in a safe and supportive learning environment. Southwest Leadership Academy Charter School, a tuition-free public school, is accepting applications for the 2021-2022 school year. SLAC's 2 locations offer single-gender classrooms in a dual-gender environment. Kindergarten and first-grade classrooms have a 15-to-1 student-teacher ratio. Students learn music, art, and fitness. Southwest Leadership educates the whole child, preparing students to become leaders. slacks-phila.org, Instagram at Southwest Leadership Academy, or email info@slacks-phila.org.
WURD Radio celebrates Women's History Month with the 2021 Level Up Contest. Join us as we embark on a 3-city contest that will highlight Black women-owned businesses who are making a difference in their communities. You can nominate yourself or your favorite Black woman-owned business and enter to win a marketing campaign valued at $5,000. Level Up is a joint production of WURD Radio in Philadelphia, WVON in Chicago, and KJLH in Los Angeles. These 3 Black-owned stations are joining forces to host a historic, interactive, and multimedia contest spotlighting Black women-owned businesses in Philly, Chicago, and Los Angeles. The deadline for submissions is March 15th. Philadelphia finalists will be featured in a special 2-hour live on-air pitch party on March 31st, where the Philadelphia winner will be selected. Go to wordradio.com and click on the Level Up banner for more information or to nominate yourself or a Black woman-owned business you love. The 2021 Level Up contest is sponsored by Comcast, Bank of America, PICO, Keystone First, Thomas Jefferson University, and Jefferson Health.
In celebration of women, Michelle Obama.
If we want to give all of our children a foundation for their dreams, then we must work like never before.
This is WURD Radio. 96.1 FM. And 900 AM WURD. Philadelphia. Independent Black Media. You're waking up with WURD. Hosted by Solomon Jones. Good morning. Right now on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM. And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. Tune in to Save Space with Sincerely Sarita tonight at 8 p.m. when we'll launch the 2021 Level Up Contest in celebration of Women's History Month. This year, we're highlighting Black women-owned businesses who are making a difference in their communities. This three-city contest is a joint production of three Black-owned radio stations, WURD in Philly, WVON in Chicago, and KJLH in Los Angeles. Join us tonight to hear from the leaders of these three stations, WURD CEO Sarah Lomax-Reese, WVON's Melody Span Cooper, and KJLH General Manager Karen Slade, when they will discuss their unique partnership to celebrate Black women and entrepreneurs and innovators. Tune in tonight at 8 to learn about the Level Up Contest and how you can nominate yourself or your favorite Black woman-owned business. For more information about Level Up, go to wordradio.com. So joining us now is Councilman Isaiah Thomas, and he's here to talk about a disturbing story, a memo that came out of the 3rd Police District in Philadelphia. Councilman Thomas, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Solomon. Good morning, Kalisa, and good morning to the listening audience.
How you doing, man?
I mean, I'm personally, it's a roller coaster, but my family is safe, and happy to be here. Unfortunately, to talk about this morning.
Yeah, so the memo comes out of the 3rd District. That's in South Philadelphia, and the police captain is Brian Hartzell, and the memo says, in return for the fairness I've been given in terms of granting vacation, I need you guys to conduct more car stops, right? He said he's not asking for anything crazy, just at least one park and walk foot patrol per tour. So most concerning to some, though, he added this line. He said, also, motor vehicle codes give officers probable cause for a stop, which avoids the issues we have with the Bailey Agreement. Now, can you explain to the listeners, what this Bailey Agreement is and why it's in place?
Yeah, sure. So when we're looking at the Bailey Agreement, what we're looking at is something that's in place to essentially address the exact issue that they talked about as it relates to the disproportionate amount of stops, specifically of people of color. And when you look at, even in the city of Philadelphia, how we stop people compared to the percentage of the population, people of color are disproportionately stopped significantly more than anybody else, and specifically Black men. We're talking about a demographic that is less than 40% of the population, but more than 60% of the stops, whether we're talking about pedestrian or traffic stops. And we also found in the city of Philadelphia that over 95% of the time that a stop and frisk takes place in this city, there's nothing found. There's no contraband, there's no weapon, there's not even a ticket written. So when people talk about the amount of money that we spend on public safety and the amount of money that we spend on policing, we have to examine the tactics that we're using and assess whether or not that those are the best mechanisms. And based on what I've tried to do with my motor vehicle code bill, as far as driving equity, as well as working with the administration, we personally believe that stopping people in a reckless capacity is not the best way to combat crime. And we also believe that it's a violation of people's civil rights. And on a personal level, I know firsthand that cops in the city of Philadelphia are recklessly stopping people because I've been a victim myself, even up until 2019. And I know firsthand that these mechanisms don't work because we're seeing a significant increase in the gun crimes in the city of Philadelphia as we speak, while simultaneously seeing a decrease in the amount of cases that we're solving. So it's extremely alarming, it's concerning, and the last thing I'll say is, Solomon, it's the tone of the memo as well, too. I don't know about you, but I feel like we're in a sense of urgency right now as it relates to gun violence, and that just didn't communicate that to me. That seemed like some type of pro quo, okay, I'm giving you guys vacation, now I need you to step it up a little bit. That's how my supervisor at Walmart used to talk to me. And at the end of the day, that's not how we can approach public safety in the city of Philadelphia at any time, let alone in the midst of this chaotic gun violence crisis that we're in the midst of.
So given that we have this agreement, right, that's court monitored around stop and frisk, and are doing statistics around stop and frisk in Philadelphia, given that you have that in place and you have this captain openly saying we're trying to get around that by using car stops instead of pedestrian stops, is this something that the court needs to look into, given that it's a court-monitored agreement, and extend it to these car stops as well?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to we actually introduced legislation yesterday, which will formally be introduced on Thursday in council. We circulated to our colleagues to examine the memo, the decree, and look at the practices of the police department. So we're going to be introducing a resolution on Thursday to call hearings around this specific issue because, again, like you said, we don't know what the mechanism is. Is this one police officer who made a mistake? Is this an isolated incident? Or is this a citywide policy that the department is implementing? We don't know, Solomon, and to be honest with you, when I seen the memo, first thing I tried to do was get his authentication. But then after that, the conversation is this an isolated situation or is this a citywide practice? And I think that's what we want to do, is do a deeper dive there. We want to have that information on the record and open to the public. And again, my goal in all of this is put us in a position where we're not using stop and frisk as a tactic to essentially solve crimes. And I think I just want to be clear for the listener audience. When we say stop and frisk, we're not talking about a person who, a police officer who has probable cause for a commercial person who might have done something. We're not talking about a person who's driving a car illegally, right, with maybe no license plate or something like that. We're talking about the things that most black men in this city go through, where you get pulled over, somebody tells you you look guilty, maybe there's a fake situation where your taillight is out or not, and the next thing you know, your civil rights are being violated because somebody is searching your car. And again, 95% of the time in the city of Philadelphia, we get it wrong. So for me, the ends don't justify the means. I don't think it's fair for 95-plus people, for mostly black men, for their civil rights to be violated, for us to catch maybe 2 criminals. That just doesn't work. And if you look at how we're fighting crime in the city of Philadelphia, specifically how we solve crime, not necessarily talking about preventing of gun violence, but solving the crime once it happens, we are not doing an effective job of that in the city of Philadelphia.
We're talking with Councilman Isaiah Thomas about a memo that came out that basically said we're going to get around this Bailey ruling with the stop and frisk, and we're going to do it through car stops. And when I read this, the first thing I thought about was Sandra Bland. Mm-hmm. Sandra Bland was stopped under, questionable circumstances with a car stop. And the police officer just kept asking her, oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? He could see she was mad. What's wrong? What's wrong? Oh, okay. You don't want to put out your cigarette? Get out the car. Just the whole thing was wrong from beginning to end, and she ends up dead. And so when you talk about these car stops, what is your legislation that you introduce say about banning police stops for vehicle code violations? How does that work? How are you envisioning that?
Sure. And so it's crazy that you said this, Solomon, because the first person I thought about was David Jones in Philadelphia, because this whole situation started with a traffic stop. And it was something that's foggy that we still really don't know the details about, similar to Sandra Bland. But my bill is looking to look at minor traffic violations. So what we're talking about when we say minor traffic violations, we're talking about tinted windows, we're talking about maybe a suspended registration, a busted taillight. And what we're saying is that we want traffic enforcement and traffic violations to be looked at as a means of a different way of implementation. So are we saying, so what we want to suggest is that police officers not be the primary body that's focused on traffic issues in the city of Philadelphia. So we talked about it from a civil rights perspective, but the other lens, Solomon, I just had a hearing last week because I'm in chair of services, and in 2020, we've seen more hit and runs than what we've seen in over a decade. We've seen more people die from hit and runs in 2020 than what we've seen in over a decade. So on the social justice and civil rights side, we know that black people's rights are getting violated, but then on the traffic side, we know for a fact that police being responsible for assured traffic violations are essentially cited and cited in a safe way. That's not happening as well either. So our legislation, we feel like, can be twofold. The first thing we feel like we can do is address the civil rights issue, so police aren't recklessly pulling over innocent people across the city of Philadelphia. The second thing we want to do is begin to use technology and other different mechanisms, right, investments in infrastructure and things of that capacity, to put us in a position where we're saying, and other cities do it as well, D.C. does it, and other places across the country do it, where we're saying that when a minor traffic violation happens, that will no longer be the primary responsibility of police. We can explore traffic officers. We can use technology. There are a number of different mechanisms we can do. But the problem, Solomon, is that we can't get to the implementation phase of the bill until we get some level of coordination with the administration. It's similar to my colleague, Councilmember Johnson's chokehold bill, which they set precedent for, where you have a council member and the executive branch agree to legislation that can only be implemented by the executive branch. So we're in that same wiggle right now where we have to have some level of coordination with the executive branch in order to implement something that could be effective. And right now we just don't have that level of coordination. And based on the memo, you can see that we have totally different ideologies as it relates to this issue of stopping people of color.
Do you plan to bring in the captain of the 3rd District to talk about this? And do you plan to bring in the police commissioner to talk about this, to figure out if this is something that is just isolated to this one memo in this one district, or is this something that is a citywide practice?
We plan to invite the police commissioner, that specific captain, representatives of the administration, and most importantly, people who live in that district who could tell us their experiences as it relates to this particular practice. So if there's anyone in the listening audience who would like to be a part of this conversation, they can feel free to, reach out to the WURD family. Everybody over there is great. But they can also reach out to my office, Isaiah.Thomas@phila.gov, ISAIAH, Isaiah.Thomas@phila.gov, and feel free to tell us your perspective on this particular issue. And if you have something that we feel like can put us in a position where we can help the advocacy that's needed, we would love for people to testify about what's going on around this issue.
We're talking with Councilmember Isaiah Thomas about a memo that came out of the 3rd District, said, look, we're going to use car stops to get around these rules about stop and frisk. We're going to use car stops to get around all of that. And that's disturbing, I think, for all of us. And it makes me think about Councilmember Sherrell Parker's bill around stopping unconstitutional stop and frisk, because this gets around that too.
Yeah, Solomon, last thing I'll say is, I'm outraged. I can tell you're outraged. I know a lot of people in the listening audience is outraged. And we showed the world when we had that ballot question that you just brought up from Councilmember Parker in significant numbers that this is not something that we want. Right. Voters told us that this is not something that we want. And so for us to undermine the voters as well as to look to violate people's civil rights with a mechanism to combat gun violence that we're 100% sure don't work, I'm outraged. And I know other people are outraged, and there's no way that I'm just going to let this go and let this be brushed under the rug. That just won't happen.
All right. As Councilmember Isaiah Thomas, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD.
Thank you, Solomon. Thank you, Queen Kuwaisa, the entire WURD family. And most importantly, Solomon, thank you for all you're doing on the man up side. I know that mentoring component is a thankless job and is needed more now than ever. Clearly based on some of the things that's looking to be implemented. So thank you, Solomon. We appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome, and thank you. So I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are in these various things we're talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. Let's go to the phone lines and talk to Rodney from North Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Rodney.
Good morning, Word.
Good morning.
I had a little story.
Okay.
Police officer, a friend of mine, I called him up 8 o'clock in the morning, said hello. And they was almost in tears. So I said, what's wrong? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, my sergeant called me in and chewed me out. I said, for what? Well, I stopped 90 people, and I only arrested 9. They got a problem with that. What do you think about that?
I think that's deep. If that's true, that's deep.
That is true, man. I told them I told him to quit and write a book.
Mm-hmm. How you supposed to eat until the book come out? You know, I mean, for real. Like, I just think that the more that we expose what happens within the system, and you know, you need people who are inside the system to talk about, you know, what is actually happening and what is actually going on. And again, you know, when you stop people, you have to have reasonable suspicion that a crime is being committed or is about to be committed. And if you don't, then you just stopping random people, and maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe he was stopping people that just was random folks. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I do know this, that we have to figure out a more effective way to stop actual criminals who are in our community and who are committing crimes and who are hurting our people, rather than stopping just regular folks that's going about their business. I know that.
Yeah, because she explained to me, she said, I stopped the people, but they wasn't doing nothing wrong. So I can't lock them up for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So she really felt some kind of way about that. Thanks for letting me share.
You're welcome, brother. Thank you for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Lynn from Darby on line 2. Go ahead, Lynn.
Good morning, WURD family. Solomon,
Good morning.
Carissa. And I want to pay tribute to all the wonderful women at WURD. My Carissa, Kayla, Sarita, and all the ones I didn't mention who are behind the scenes.
Andrea.
Love you. Y'all make this program all that. And Solomon, I enjoy Man Up. I know you think I'm kooky crazy, but I mentioned that I'm still in touch with my pen pal from 50 years ago. And you know, that was the strong things that helped me make it through life. You know, back when the village was raising you and everybody cared about you. And in my school, they implemented a pen pal program. So maybe we could implement that along the way or something. If our mentees had somebody who they could write or to implement it in the prison system, you know, they love to write. Something that would give you strength to carry on. And I like it. Oh, thank you. I just wanted to mention they are just, this systemic racism is just they in our face. So we got to call it out and act. You know, with the councilman being on, I just don't like that stopping you for nothing. You're right. You're letting the criminals get away.
Right.
And it's just not necessary, and we have to call it out. So we, as a WURD family, we're going to have to start calling our congressmen, senators, on anything that we hear that is wrong. The Texas thing, we have to take action and start doing something because they don't have no shame in calling this stuff out. And one more thing, I just want to comment on the program last night. Solomon, I saw one segment and fell out, so I got to take more naps. But what I saw on the program, what was the name of the program? I'm sorry. I'm telling you, turning 60, my brain cells are going. The program last night on Channel 6, 10 o'clock, We in America or something. But anyway, it was the segment that I saw was very inspirational. They was calling out racism. And, what we have to do is call our legal people, congressmen, and pass that voting rights bill and that George Floyd bill, and that's all to it. That we got to stay on them for that. Everybody have a blessed day. Take care now.
All right, thank you for your call this morning on WURD. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show right here on WURD.
Hey, WURD family, Reverend Leroy with a boss good recommendation for Clark Roofing. I found them to be a solid business, honest, dependable, fast, and clean workers. Mr. Clark stands by his work. Call him at 215-365-7663.
Call Clark Roofing and ask for second-generation master roofer Calvin Clark. Clark Roofing professionally installs a variety of roofing systems for your home or businesses. Call Clark Roofing at 215-365-7663 or visit their website
at clarkroofingpa.com.
Thinking about retirement? Make sure a My Social Security account is a part of your plan. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can find out if you're eligible to receive benefits, compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates, view spousal benefit estimates, and more. Plan for your future. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Want the latest in Word swag?
Check out the shop tab on WURDradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WURDradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black.
Talk Media.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. Joining us now, Percy and Crystal Custis. They are the owners and head coach of James Shuler Memorial Boxing Gym. And I want to welcome you both to Wake Up with Word.
Okay.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So, Percy Custis, I'll start with you. So, who was James Shuler, man? Explain to us who he was.
He was an outstanding boxer back in the 80s. It was going to be an Olympic guy. He did great in amateurs and all different facets of boxing. And I named the gym. He is killed early in his life. And we named the gym after him to keep his life and his name going on. He's really outstanding amateur and pro fighter. So.
Yeah. And so you've got this gym, man. What does the gym, Crystal, what does this gym mean to the community where it's located?
Okay, so we're located in West Philadelphia. Affectionately known as the Bottom. So it's a really underserved community. We opened about 26 years ago as a place to give the kids in the community a safe haven and a purpose and something to do to distract them from, the streets. So, my dad opened the gym 26 years ago, and we're just beyond a safe haven. It's a place of diversity. It's a place where people go to release stress. Where kids build relationships with adults and other kids their age. It's like, it's like so unique because you'll see, people from all over the world, Egypt, Ukraine, then you got kids from the hood, and then you got world champions mixed in and Olympians all in one place, but everybody treat each other like family. It's a common respect in there. So it's a very unique environment.
Yeah, and so you guys have something coming up this weekend. Crystal, tell us about it.
We have a amateur boxing event. The kids are, I think, range anywhere between age 10 and 24. and then they compete against each other. 3 rounds, about 3 3-minute rounds. We usually give them about twice a year. This year, this is our first one. It's called Round the Way Rumbling. We've been doing it again for 26 years. But this time it's less people that can be in the building.
Right.
So we'll be also streaming it on Zoom.
Okay. Now, what kind of precautions are you taking around COVID, other than having less people in the building?
So of course you got to wear your face mask and your temperature's taken, and then periodic wipe downs in between every round in the ring, and then just social distancing.
So Percy, in terms of the those who are competing, tell us a little about some of the people who are competing in this event coming up.
Well, they come from they are kids and adults. They from different other gyms, New York, Jersey, Camden, Maryland, Washington. They come from all over, and they be some guys that's national champions. The Nationals is coming up soon, so it's like a preparation for the Nationals, and the Golden Gloves is coming up. So it's like something to do, a fight to have before you go out there to get yourself, acquainted to.
So in terms of that preparation, man, talk about what it takes to be a boxer, because I think some people think, and we saw that in the event Mike Tyson had, you could just put on gloves and just go and box. Tell us about the preparation and the training it takes to really be a boxer.
First of all, you got to want to do it, something that you want to do, and you got to be like athletic. Even if you're not, you can start there though. But you got to run in the morning. You try to eat right. You do various exercises in the gym. Take you up to sparring in the gym with other guys on your level or over your level, and you acquire skills and stuff by coming in daily or 2 or 3 times a week. But it's a lot of hard work, guys do. After a while, it becomes normal for you. Fighters do it every day. It's a way of life, a form of life that a guy lives.
So they call boxing a sweet science. What's scientific about it? Go ahead, Crystal.
Well, I was going to also say, my dad typically says, the food you eat, the people, your friends you keep, and the time you sleep. Those are 3 of the elements that you have to take in consideration when you box and surround yourself with. But also, I would like to say, a lot of people look at boxing as a sport where you just brawl and you fight. A lot of people don't have respect for the sport, but it takes perseverance, intellect, resilience when you get knocked down to be able to get back up and go back after your opponent. It's not a team, so you in there by yourself. So it's really like you versus you, or you versus just the other person, so you can't blame anybody else if you make mistakes. So it's like a one-man. It's like people say boxing is like a really lonely sport because it's you by yourself. You have to take on all the accountability of what you're doing in the ring, and it takes a lot of intellect. It's you have to be very intelligent to box, and I don't think people understand that. So I really want to make a point to say that, because it takes a lot of intellect to be able to slip. It's like hold your feet a certain way, your hands a certain way, the hand-eye coordination, to catch somebody with an uppercut. It's a whole lot. And then people come in and you train every day for about 2 to 3 hours. It's a great commitment and sacrifice in the sport of boxing.
And that's the question that I was coming to about the science aspect of boxing. So, Percy, as a coach, when you are coaching people, what are you trying to teach them about the science of boxing?
When to make what moves, how to counter things, how to feel when a person is making a move by moving their body a certain way at different times, and be ready to react to what they're doing. It's for every action a person takes is your reaction to what they're doing. Maybe you have to move. Sometimes you have to move away from a fight. Sometimes you have to stay in a position to get the shots off that you feel is going to be effective. And it's effective punching, and then it got punching hard. You know, it's not just trying to throw all your punches hard all the time. Sometimes you just do effective punching just to set up the big shots that you want to hit a guy with.
Okay. All right. And so, Crystal, this event that's taking place this weekend, again, give us the details about it, how people can check it out, both personally and then on Zoom.
So currently we're pretty much close. We may have about 15 tickets left for in person, and it's first come, first serve. There will be a link tomorrow where you can actually purchase a live streaming and watch it on Zoom. It's an amateur event. So what we do, we have these events so that we can make sure that our members who are looking to become professional or competitive amateurs, we sometimes have to throw our own events so that they can have a chance to build their record. So, you know, this is like, you know, our event where they are competing with other people around the country, and they get to stay busy is what people say. You know, you got to stay busy. You got to build, you know, your record up. So it's an amateur event for young people between the ages of like 10 to 24, 25, and it happens yearly. We'll have a few more events this year as well.
Okay, what number can people call? What number can people call to get information?
So they can call my dad, Buster, at 215-416-1282, or they can call me at 717-421-0512. And they can also look on our website at James Schuler, that's SHULER boxing.com.
Got it. Percy Custis, the owner and head coach of James Schuler Memorial Boxing Gym, and Crystal Custis is the marketing and operations director. They are having an amateur boxing event coming up this weekend, and you can check them out on their website and at the numbers that were just given. I want to thank you both for joining us this morning on WURD.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. You too. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065. Let's go to the phone lines and talk to Prince from Schuylkill on line 2. Go ahead, Prince.
Hey, good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. I just heard the councilman, and I was just, when he said that driving with a suspended registration is a minor offense, I just take issue to that, because if you got a suspended registration, you can't get insurance. And if you are driving with no insurance, that makes it even dangerous, because if you get in an accident, then that's a bigger problem. So I think some of the things he said with the, that's not a minor offense, that's a major offense. And also the tinted windows. If a cop can't see in a car when he approaches the car, it's more dangerous for him than it is than there's the person in the car. And so there are tint regulations for a reason. So I think some of the things that he's making remedial are actually dangerous to both the public as well as the officers. So,
well, let me just get down to the bottom line. Do you think that police should be harassing black people in their cars?
Oh, no. I think...
Oh, all right. Because that's, for me, that's the bottom line. Like the details, we can work out the details later. But, you know, I think that for me, the main thing that's important to me is that I'm not harassed by a police officer when I'm in my car. Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm driving, according to the regulations of the road. Leave me alone.
Right, but let me ask you a question.
For real.
Let me ask you a question. When has the last time you've been stopped? You, not anybody else, you. The last time you've been stopped, was your demeanor and your character and your attitude in a way where he said, I apologize, go about your business?
The last time I was stopped, apologize for what? Why should I apologize? Wait a minute. Why should I be? Wait a minute. Why should I be apologizing to someone who works for me? I pay taxes in the city of Philadelphia, right? I own property in the city of Philadelphia. I work in the city of Philadelphia. I pay wage taxes. I pay all kinds of stuff in the city of Philadelphia. Why should I be apologizing to somebody that worked for me?
I didn't say you apologized. My question was.
You asked me, was I apologetic? Apologetic for what?
That's not. You used the word apologetic.
No, you said, Kwesa. Okay, I'm going to ask the ref. Did he say that was I apologetic?
I'm not getting into it.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Because that's what you said. That's what the listeners just. And what I'm saying is, no, I'm not apologizing for anything.
I don't think you.
If I'm not wrong.
What I'm saying is, if you were stopped and the officer came up to your car and he told you why he stopped you, and you explained to him that, hey, you stopped me, but no, I got everything, so, and he let you go about your way. My question is, that's not an apology, but you think that he stopped you because of what?
No, the last time that I got stopped, it was actually raining. I was coming downhill, and my car actually slid, and I could not stop when the light was about to turn red. So I had to go through the light. The cop stopped me. He was nasty, and he was black. His partner was white. He didn't say much. And I think they let me go without a ticket. But, I didn't like his attitude. Because, again, you work for me. It's not the other way around. And so I always bear that in mind. And I try to treat everybody with respect and be polite and all of that. That's what I try to do to everybody. But I'm not, my demeanor should not impact whether or not you are professional.
Right. No, I agree with you 1,000% how you handled yourself. And at the end of the day, when you realize that this idiot was aggressive, then you went to the district and you filed a complaint. And because they didn't cite you for anything, you had a right to a hearing to that complaint. What I'm saying is that the bill that the council person is and I'm only talking about the bill. I'm not talking about your comment on I think you shouldn't be harassed. I'm talking about the bills that you put in Congress have to have a level of merit because the city doesn't control the streets, the state does. And so in order for you
I just think that the city, again, the city provides the police department's budget, right? Council provides the police department's budget. So you can talk about who control the streets, council control the money. So if you are not treating the people in our community with respect, then I expect my council members who control the budget that comes from my money to have an impact on what the police can and cannot do. I fully expect that.
All right, so my last point is the council controls the budget of the school district, the police department.
No, they don't control the whole budget of the school district.
Right. So what I'm saying is that they're part of the budget, and Cindy Bass said it on the show. We allocate and we investigate. And so what we're doing is we're taking it to that next level of oversight. And I agree with that, but it has to be done in a way where the results are tangible, not just throwing it out that it's a bill. So what happens 2 weeks from now or a month from now if it doesn't pass? He would have wasted taxpayer dollars putting a bill in that he hasn't thoroughly examined it to see if it has the merit.
Yeah, but the bill hasn't even passed yet. So there's time to do whatever they need to do in order to get the bill right. This is a suggestion at this point. It's not it's not anything that is on the books, right? And so it still has to go through the hearing process. It has to go through second reading and final passage. And so that is the time when changes can be made if they need to be made. But I agree with the overarching spirit of it that black people shouldn't be harassed by the cops.
We don't disagree on that. I agree on the spirit of it as well. And I'm going to hang up and listen to you. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Prince. I appreciate your call this morning on WURD. But, I'm here. Work out the details later. The overarching feeling is this: stop harassing us, man. If I'm not doing anything wrong, stop harassing me. That's all. If I'm doing something wrong, by all means, do your job. But in terms of just stopping us for nothing, no, that's not something that we should allow to ever happen. in the city of Philadelphia or anywhere in this country, man. And I need y'all to understand, we are literally, under siege, man, in the black community. For real. Like, it's not a game. It's not a joke. This is not something that we just making up. We just complaining. The Supreme Court is getting ready to side with Arizona, right, on restricting access to voting. And so what that does is it sets a precedent nationwide, for what can be done. And I don't know if y'all noticed, man, because I'm reading through some of this stuff, during the show, as I always do. And what I see is Supreme Court conservatives poised to uphold Arizona's curbs on voting. It's like, I feel like Oprah in the color purple. All my life I had to fight. Like, you got to fight constantly, man, against these people who are trying to do everything they can to make you into a second-class citizen. We're not having it. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we'll continue the show. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Olaniyan Adefume, author of the Book of Questions, needs your help. He is seeking out responses for an updated version of the Book of Questions Series 2. The topics of the book cover issues of religion, race, sex, economics, politics, and health. One example would be, what do you think of the Capitol riot of January 6, 2021? For more information, reach out to him directly at 215-678-3830 or email him at oadefumi@yahoo.com.
WURD Radio celebrates Women's History Month with the 2021 Level Up Contest. Join us as we embark on a 3-city contest that will highlight Black women-owned businesses who are making a difference in their communities. You can nominate yourself or your favorite Black woman-owned business and enter to win a marketing campaign valued at $5,000. Level Up is a joint production of WURD Radio in Philadelphia, WVON in Chicago, and KJLH in Los Angeles. These 3 Black-owned stations are joining forces to host a historic, interactive, and multimedia contest spotlighting Black women-owned businesses in Philly, Chicago, and Los Angeles. The deadline for submissions is March 15th. Philadelphia finalists will be featured in a special 2-hour live on-air pitch party on March 31st, where the Philadelphia winner will be selected. Go to wordradio.com and click on the Level Up banner for more information or to nominate yourself or a Black woman-owned business you love. The 2021 Level Up contest is sponsored by Comcast, Bank of America, PECO, Keystone First, Thomas Jefferson University, and Jefferson Health.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I'm going to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. Let's get right to the phone lines. Lola from Jenkintown is on line 1. Go ahead, Lola.
Yes. Hi. Good morning, Solomon. Thank you for taking my call. Good morning to you and Kawesa. I wanted to say I was just troubled listening to Prince. I mean, I was sitting here working, and I was propelled to call in because is he I just don't even know where to begin, because being pulled over while black usually ends in the loss of your life. And this Prince was talking about, well, no, these things are happening. Like, he's sympathizing with that. A lot of times people have been pulled over within one day 2 or 3 times. And maybe somebody does have not such a great attitude about being pulled over 3 or 4 times and being harassed. That doesn't mean that a police officer has the right to then in turn take a bad attitude and escalate it and then shoot you and search your car and kill you in front of your stepdaughter, like Castile and all the other cases that we have heard. If anybody read that report, of their car, park the car, and make them walk. I need you to do this because I've been giving you more vacation time. So in turn for your vacation time and all the things that I've let go, you need to do this, stop more people in their vehicles. It was really outrageous. It was horrible. It's just what's going, and I don't think this is just related to what the councilman said to just that one district. This goes on all over the city, and not just the city, outside where I live. You see this. We had meetings about African-American boys up here, black boys in the outside of the county being stopped who live in the area, Solomon. This is not just an isolated incident, and people should not have their lives in the hands of police officers, like you said, that we pay with our taxpayer money for a tail light, or maybe your registration has lapsed or something like that. No, that is that's something that's against the law, but that doesn't mean that you should lose your life. That's something that's monetary. Okay, let me pay this. Let me make sure I get on the right track. But not to come out of that and you are dead. Your family now has to bury you. What is wrong with people for somebody to say something, to call up and say that those things are justified?
Lola, I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. I appreciate you, and thank you for that. Joyce from Frankfurt is on line 4. Go ahead, Joyce.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
I hope I can express myself, because sometimes when I call up, I'll be so nervous. But about Tiger Woods,
yes,
they were hoping it was DUI, so they could throw him. They were hoping, but it wasn't. When Tiger Woods had that scandal years ago, and it affected his golf game, and he started losing, white people were so happy. So I remember a couple of years ago when they found out he was on painkillers, he was addicted. See, they couldn't say nothing then because you're supposed to have empathy with opioids. See, so they couldn't say anything because all these white people was addicted to opioids. So if they said about Tiger being addicted, the racism would show through. So, and I remember a couple of years ago, the tennis player, Serena's sister.
Yeah, Venus Williams.
You remember when she was in a car accident, and they tried to blame it on her, but when the video came up, it wasn't her fault. They wanted to throw her in jail so bad. So that's why they're treating Tiger Woods like that. They would love to throw him in jail.
Yeah.
Accident when he hurt his own self. All right.
All right. Thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. I want to go back to the phone lines. Let's talk to Renee from West Oak Lane. She's on the line. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Solomon, Kuwait, and everybody. I just want to say about Tyson, he just got to get his legal team together and do a TK on Halua. And like LL Cool J said, Mama said, knock you out. That's what you need to do. And so far as this virus, it's more than serious. They're talking about a fourth wave with this pandemic, and the new virus is in Brazil that's 10 times worse than what's already out. And as long as there are people working from home because their workplace is too dangerous due to the transmission of the virus, and as long as you got Zoom and virtual situations going on, the government offices are closed, this virus is more than serious. And don't be fooled because they're opening up schools and other places. And so far as the vaccine, time will tell what the vaccine will do with the full effect of the vaccine. And I'd like to know, what are they going to do with all those people that they had to put in those freezer trucks that died from COVID? I'm going to throw that out there.
Okay, I don't know. That was a long time ago. That was in the beginning of this thing. So I have no idea, but I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. Maybe we can look into that. Let's go back to the phone lines, talk to Carrie from Champaign, Illinois on line 1. Go ahead, Carrie.
Hey, Solomon, I just want to talk about an incident that I seen. This was years ago, and it was about the police, and I heard what Prince said, and this will prompt me to call. There was a guy where I used to live, had gotten into an altercation with a black family. This guy was white.
Yes.
But I never knew what the altercation was. But anyway, they called the police, and 12 police officers showed up. And the white guy was out there talking to him, and he got mad at him, at the police. He cussed every officer there was out. and then jumped in his car, pulled off down the street, speeding at several miles an hour, at least 50 on the street. You can do no more than 20. They did not go after him. Did nothing to him. And then I had colleagues where I worked talked about how their wives cussed out police officers for giving them a ticket for speeding, and then they take the ticket away. So that's all I wanted to do, just call in to let Prince know this happens all over the country, and it's not fair to black people because black people die for their lives. If I would have cussed the guy out, the police officers, 12 of them, they would have just shot me there on the spot and killed me.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Sometime we need to be reminded. Audrey from Mount Airy is on line 3. Go ahead, Audrey.
Oh, thank you, Solomon. It's good to talk with you again. My reason for calling is that I believe that something that is long overdue is this whole business of reinstating the Civil Rights Act every 7 years. I believe the Supreme Court needs to deal with that and that we need a final decision on that because all these changes that they're making to suppress our vote, I do believe that it is a direct attack on the black and brown vote, and that's why they're so busy doing this, and to allow a president who has sat in the seat in office that is supposed to preside over this country and sworn to do so, get away with tyranny, we got a lot of problems.
We do indeed. We do indeed. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. I'm still tripping off. Apologize to the cops for stopping me. Like, what? Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here on WURD. If you want to make a comment, you can certainly do that on Facebook at FORWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. What are they saying this morning, Kuwait, on Facebook?
So a few comments that we have here. Trying to grab it. I lost it that quickly. All right, here we go. Derek Ramsey, great show. Keep up the good fight. Phyllis Williams, great show. Solomon and Kuwait, have a blessed day and enjoy this weather. And then also, oh, it looks like a couple people are kind of getting into it a little bit on the Facebook feed. Okay, so Motley, remember family, we have built a city on land that was stolen from an original people who were murdered and lied to. Who owns the land? And then we also have here as well, I'm trying to, okay. Linda Shields is saying, when the weather gets a little warmer, we are going to have a nationwide march on passing the voter rights bills and George Floyd bills. They are so important because systemic racism, it's in our face every day. In the meantime, we should be calling our congresspeople and senators to pass those bills now. So those are a couple more comments that we have. Geraldine Mayfield, good morning to you. I don't think I had said hi to you earlier. I know a couple folks have mentioned about the commercials that we play on Word TV, but we have clients and we have sponsors, so we gotta make sure that we're representing them as well. So I'm sorry that you're not seeing Solomon during the commercial breaks. I apologize, but maybe it's for the best. You might not want to see. I don't know.
Hey, all I'm doing, I'm going in the cafeteria. Right. The kitchen is the cafeteria. I'm going in the cafeteria. I'm freshening up my coffee. I'm eating my heart-shaped cookies. You know what I mean? I ain't doing that.
I'm trying to give you some privacy. I'm trying to so you can eat your cookie in peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so y'all don't want to see that. But I appreciate it. I appreciate it anyway. Yeah, it's a whole lot going on, man, and we got a whole lot to talk about. We are going to get back into it, of course, tomorrow right here on WURD. I want to thank all of our guests, and I want to thank each and every one of you. But I want to shout them out. Ronnie C. Crudup Jr., Mississippi State Representative, Temple Professor Lynn Washington, Councilman Isaiah Thomas, and, of course, Percy and Crystal Custis from the James Shuler Memorial Boxing Gym. And now, for super producer Kawesa Mathis and everyone here at WURD Radio, I am your host, Solomon Jones, saying stay tuned for Reality Check Live with Charles Ellison. Tune in tomorrow at 7 for more. Wake up with Word. Peace.